to focus on, so much to probably just mention, because as we are coming to work this morning, we woke up this morning, for example, in the UK, there's a kerfuffle in the UK right now because, well, as you know, you probably don't know, the Epstein files and Peter Mandelson, remember that? But he survived those few days. But we kept saying that Keir Starmer is going to have to resign. I don't see him, finishing out the term. But this morning we're waking up on the backside of hearing that Andy Burnham has won the by-election, that it is quite likely that Keir Starmer will step aside tomorrow or sometime next week. That's Monday week coming. At the same time, though, Peter Kyle, if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you're seeing that we're putting up some reports from, and I think this is one from GB News. And this particular story might not have been written by GB News, but I think I heard this Peter Kyle on GB News this morning, not denying, but refusing to say that Keir Starmer will resign. And I think this is what is expected. But they're stopping short of saying that he won't resign. So there you go. But here's the thing. This is what is happening in the UK. It has ramifications in the geopolitical space because there's a whole lot happening in Britain. And there is really a difference between Labour and Reform. And I'm not even saying Conservatives, I'm saying Reform. Because a challenge, from all intents and purposes, is coming from Reform. But Andy Burnham actually, in the by-election, defeated Reform decisively. And I think this is one of the considerations that Keir Starmer has to face as he looks at whether or not he's going to resign. As a matter of fact, I probably should go see what the BBC is saying about that in Peter, because that story that we put up this morning. So let me see what the BBC is saying about this. But this is the interesting. BBC just saw something because it's not even on the headlines. I mean, did they get over that already? In any case, well, okay. So this is world news. I probably should go to UK. But in any case, I think this has ramifications, generally speaking. And this is why the ramifications are important. Because I think Britain is ungovernable. I know. But think about it. The UK is ungovernable. I am saying that in this space without apology. Britain is ungovernable. And I think that until, and I want you to go from David Cameron all the way to now, Liz Truss, from Brexit, when was Brexit again? From Brexit to now, from what's the Britain the one that looked like Trump? I still remember her name. But anyway, he not really look like Trump. He just have his hairstyle that, Anyway, so from Brexit, which Nigel Farage was a big part of, right? From Brexit to Liz Truss, and even before Brexit, remember how many resignations we had? David Cameron, and then what's her name? And then Boris Johnson. And then the woman who was before, Theresa May. And so from Theresa May to Boris Johnson to Liz Truss, Richie Sunak, and then from Richie Sunak to Keir Starmer. And that's in the space of what, 2 years? Not quite 2 years, but just a space of a few years. Since 20... Boris Johnson. From 2019 to 2022. Johnson. And since Johnson, I mean, it's just like 9 pins. They're just falling over like 9 pins. And it is an interesting situation. Britain, and nobody wants to call it, but if it was an African country or a Caribbean country, you'll hear how much it's a banana republic and how it is ungovernable. But Britain is ungovernable. And I'm going to tell you why I think Britain is ungovernable. It is tied back to what we're talking about. You see, this conversation we're having about xenophobia in this space, where in South Africa, the so-called fear of immigrants is called xenophobia. But in England, it is called immigration issues. In the United States, it's called ICE and immigration issues. If you notice, Donald Trump is tweeting, on Truth Social, he's now saying that, let's change this from ICE to NICE. He wants to change the acronym from ICE to NICE, and I think he's about to do it too. But so it's the immigration issues that are unfolding in the United States, in the UK, in France, in the Netherlands. They are not necessarily referred to. They are not referred to as xenophobia, but it's the very same issue. Now, let me just say another thing, and I know I've gone off really hard, but there's a lot happening, and we have to get through a lot of them. The immigration issues in the UK are also tied to why Britain is ungovernable. And until Britain tries Reform UK, until Reform UK under Nigel Farage gets in power and is tested for a while, because remember, of all the parties in the UK, it is Reform UK that is the most xenophobic, that's the most racist, that is the most bigoted, that is the most classist, discriminatory, you name it. So that until Reform UK gets into power and is tested against its own bigotry, and Britain recognizes whether or not that can work in this new world order, then Britain will remain ungovernable. And that's fact. All right, so we're going to leave it at that. We're looking now to see did you find anything there, Peter, in terms of what's the latest reporting on Keir Starmer? It is Sunday. Obviously, the news cycle is in full gear in the United Kingdom. So let me just go news on BBC, because it's interesting that they are not carrying the news on the front page. And you can bet if you're not Zimbabwe or one of those places, you'll see it all over the place. But you've got something there? Okay. I don't know. All right. Signs grow that Starmer will set out timetable, that says, to resign as mood in the government shifts. This is who? BBC? All right, so that's the latest reporting from the BBC. Signs grow that there's just a banner over it, and it says 2 people in the waiting room. All right, click that off. All right, okay, so signs grow that Starmer will set out timetable to resign as mood in the government shifts. And so that's coming from the BBC this morning. All right. And I'm not. So it's pretty. I'm not seeing it well from here, Peter. But so that is the latest from the BBC, and we're watching that to see what happens by tomorrow. Okay, but suffice to say, one of the major problems facing Britain right now. I know they're talking about the economy. I know they're talking about war, because we had the defense minister resigning last week, I think it was, and right after he resigned, then we have his assistant, his second, resigning just after that. It's okay, BBC again, for those who are watching on YouTube, Facebook and IG. Starmer reflecting on political reality as he what? What's the word that's being hidden by the camera? As he considers his future, says ally. Well, that basically what that is saying is that he's about to step down. And if not today, then he'll do it tomorrow. Well, we have been saying that in this space. I'm surprised that he's lasted this long. And we'll see what happens. But this is the state of the UK today. This is the state of the United Kingdom today. And we're here talking about using their talking points against South Africa, using their talking points against Russia. One of the reasons why Britain is a 250-year-old war that Britain is fighting against Russia. Understand that. We'll come back to that another time. But we have bought into their narrative about Russia, about South Africa, about Israel, about Ukraine, you name it, when they themselves are falling apart. And Britain, of course, being the head of state of Jamaica. It is Father's Day on the island. Feels like it's Father's Day everywhere. Happy Father's Day to you. On this Father's Day, we remember and honor our fathers. those who have joined the ancestors, those who are still among us, who nurtured and protected us, guided us along a path of survival, family, community, freedom, prosperity, security, friendship. Happy Father's Day to all fathers. Fathers of Running Africa, and a very special Happy Father's Day to the family. Happy Father's Day to you wherever you are listening from. And I want to say to fathers and to children of fathers this morning that usually we'll be opening the phone lines already, but there is a whole lot happening today as we are coming into this space that we want to get through, and we're going to do that. We're going to take your greetings along the way also. Also, we're going to be doing a few interviews, some with fathers, because as I said again, there are quite a few issues that we cannot ignore this morning, and we're not about to ignore this morning. So apologies that we're not doing 4 hours straight of Father's Day greetings. But I know you understand there's a whole lot happening. As we go through today, one of the things that we're going to reflect on is something that I say in this space all the time. A quote from Epictetus. Appearances to the mind are of 4 kinds. Things either are what they appear to be, or they neither are nor appear to be, or they are and do not appear to be, or they're not and yet appear to be. Rightly to aim in all these cases is a wise man's task, the wise woman's task. Appearances to the mind are of 4 kinds. Things either are what they appear to be, or they neither are nor appear to be, or they are and do not appear to be, or they're not and yet appear to be. Rightly to aim in all these cases a fimi task, a fio task, a fui task. And we bear that in mind as we go through, not just today, but all of the times that you see we're going through right now, because things are heating up. And whether we're talking about deportees or nationals, whether we want to substitute words in acronyms and abbreviations and take out the D and put in N. It is still appearances to the mind of what things are. And I'm going to get to that later on in the program. Since last Tuesday, for example, June 18, have you noticed that there's a warship in Ocherias? There was a whole lot of discussion about the Nimitz, the warship that was in the port in Kingston. But there's a warship in Ocherias right now. And I'm going to talk about that in a little while. There's a warship that's docked in Ocherias. Also, we're having the Carrie Lake, who is the U.S. President Donald Trump's nominee for U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica. She has been testifying before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee during her confirmation hearing on Capitol Hill. We have to pause this morning to carry bits and pieces of that testimony. It is phenomenal because we go back to appearances of the mind. But we also go to where everything that is being hidden is now coming to light. And while here in Jamaica, we might be hiding stuff, they're hiding nothing. Nothing at all. The Washington Post is reporting on it, and I think we have some stuff there. But before we go there, Peter, can I just do we listen to her first? Let's do. And so let me talk. Let me. All right. Let me first of all say a little bit, right? So she's been testifying about her plans for Jamaica. She's looking at crime and security cooperation, talking about strengthening US-Jamaica partnerships to reduce crime and improve security. She's been talking about economic growth and trade, removing barriers, expanding trade, and creating more opportunities for businesses and investors in both countries. And On the surface of it, some of it is sounding good. She's talking about promoting U.S. investment, encouraging American companies to invest in Jamaica and to support the island's economic potential. She also talks about having a positive view of Jamaica, praising Jamaica for its resilience. We want to talk about that word resilience, because it's a word that we've been using, and it is also another appearances of the mind, but we come back to that. So she's praising Jamaica for Jamaica's resilience, creativity, entrepreneurship, and global governance. She has concerns. She was asked about China in Jamaica. And the YouTube video that you've got there, Peter, I know that there is a clip that speaks specifically to China in Jamaica, starting about 10:27 in the thing itself. So we want to go there. Okay, let's listen to what she says about China in Jamaica. This is Carrie Lake, U.S. President's ambassadors, Donald Trump's nominee for U.S. ambassador. All right, so I'm not seeing it. All right, you want to take it back then?
By the Trump administration.
But it's 2 or 3.
Face the risk of torture.
The SPTV government said the
All right, so we have 2 or 3 things coming up there. But I wanted you to hear what she said about China in Jamaica, and that we're going to get working in a little while. She talks about being worried about China's involvement in ports. Remember, we had a whole conversation here about ports and logistic ports and so on in Jamaica. And are you ready for me? All right, let me do this then. Okay.
Chinese ambassador in Jamaica said in May that President Xi Jinping emphasized that Jamaica is a strategic partner of China. What's your assessment of China's strategic objectives in Jamaica, and really what are their true motives there?
Thank you, Senator Curtis. And yes, thank you for the time that you afforded me in your office. I enjoyed getting to know you as well. I had never met you before, and I sometimes have to go and prove to people I don't have horns growing out of my head because the media has done a number on me. So thank you for giving me the chance.
As I mentioned, as a Utahn, sometimes we have that same problem. With
media is tough there too, huh?
Well, people thinking we have horns.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, and you're our neighbor, Utah. We love Utah. We have a lot of good friends who live there as well. So thank you so much. I think I'm learning a lot more about it. I don't know as much as you, and I appreciate your service on the Western Hemisphere Committee as the chairman. And we talked a little bit about it, but there's massive concerns, not just from their strategy of taking a huge section of the ports, but also when you look at the 5G and the telecom, with Huawei expanding, it's very concerning what could happen. There's always strings attached with China, and the question is, do you want all of the information going through Huawei, where you all of a sudden would have that information being trickled back to the CCP and China? There are massive concerns, and as this need right now to rebuild has created a lot of opportunity for companies to come in, I'd rather see, and I know you would and everybody here, American companies coming in to assist, not the continued increase of Chinese companies.
So speaking of that, as you know, a Chinese firm won a major contract for the Kingston port expansion in 2025. What questions should the U.S. be asking about data access, port resilience, logistics, and dual-use risks?
When it comes to ports or when it comes to telecom?
Well, in this case, specifically the port.
The port. From what I've been briefed on, some of the concerns are when they're controlling and seeing everything that's coming in, it puts at a great risk for our security. When they have access and control over everything coming into the country, there are huge risks. And I think the Department of War is probably looking closely at that. I'm looking forward to getting more briefings on this. As you know, everything I've been briefed on is what's publicly available. And as I learn more, I'd be happy to meet with you, or if you want to share concerns, I'd be happy to listen in.
You have a unique background in communications. How can you use that background to work with Jamaica and help them see exactly what comes with the Chinese relationship versus the U.S. relationship?
A lot of, if you're not putting out your story, somebody else is. And the Americans have done such great work with our partners in Jamaica. They're our neighbors. We have a great relationship. We're culturally more similar than China is with Jamaica. And we need to tell the people what we're doing. We were on the ground in massive numbers after the hurricane. The U.S. military put out 133 flights in the hours after the hurricane struck. And we brought in almost 500, I think 480 some humanitarian relief workers. We brought in search and rescue crews, heavy equipment to move debris off of roads. There were entire communities that were cut off. And sadly, many deaths, 45 deaths, and many, many others were hurt. 250,000 people were displaced and needed housing. America was there. We need to tell that story. We will continue to be there, but we cannot continue to watch as China makes huge moves right here in our front yard.
All right. Let me take a break and come back. For the Foreign Relations Committee during her confirmation hearing. And I want us to listen to some more, but pay close attention to what she said about China. Now, we've been talking about China and Jamaica for the last 25 years? All right. One of the first podcasts done on this island, and I think it was the very first one, was a podcast done by me that was called China and Jamaica. Was done online, and it was called China and Jamaica. All these issues that are coming to the fore so many years after are the very same issues that we raised. Now, not to say that we're agreeing with anything she said there in terms of the challenge to Jamaica's sovereignty and the Jamaica's determination to be its own independent nation. But remember, Jamaica is not independent. Jamaica says it's independent and pretend that it is. But especially within the last few, say 10 years, more than ever, that challenge is coming from, the challenge to Jamaica's independence is coming from not just the United States, but every single place else, every other country, especially developed countries. So now there's a fight for who will control Caribbean infrastructure, and particularly Jamaica, because Jamaica is placed, go back to the map, because I remember that map that we had that showed Navassa Island. Where Jamaica is how Jamaica is situated geographically, and remember we're also talking about the geopolitics of it all, but how Jamaica is situated geographically gives you an idea of why there is so much on Jamaica's, this discussion about Jamaica's importance to the U.S. Okay, so there's the map on the screen if you're on Facebook or on YouTube or IG. Just to remind you of that map. It's a trade routes that we're looking at, the maritime routes. So the conversation right now is who will dominate Jamaica. If there was also a question about Jamaica's digital and telecommunication system. Jamaica's telecommunication system was knocked out of commission a few weeks ago when we lost power. The entire country went black. Jamaica went black, and then Jamaica decided to take deportees from the United States. The two things are connected. If you don't want to connect them, that is your business. But just listen to me. Jamaica is under threat. Jamaica, the nation, went dark, and then Jamaica decides to take deportee. Jamaica is walking back from what it is doing in terms of what it is about to sign off on or already signed off on, whether it's MOU or whatever they call it. They're walking back because they're caught in a trap. But if you want to know what Jamaica's plans are regarding whether or not it's going to take in 10,000 deportees that are not Jamaicans, or it's going to take in 25 at a time until it reaches 10,000, look at the Dominican Republic. Now, remember we've said to you that if you want to know what Jamaica is doing, about to do, and is in discussions on, look at Jamaica's friendship with the Dominican Republic. Remind me to come back to that. So will Caribbean governments increasingly align with Beijing or Washington on these geopolitical issues. And this is basically what Carrie Lake is saying, who is about to come in as the ambassador. While Carrie Lake is getting ready to come into Jamaica as ambassador, and we heard her just now, there's also a clip there, if you can find it, Peter, where she's talking about, she was asked about transnational organized crime. You must recall that we have spent the last 3 years in this space, 2.5, focusing on transnational organized crime and talking about Pax Americana, Pax Colombiana, and Pax Mexicana. And our brother, Darius Figueroa, who is an expert in this matter and on this matter, have been walking us gently through the changes, the geopolitical changes in the drug wars and the fight between Pax Mexicana and Pax Colombiana for Jamaica's space, for Belize space, for Trinidad space. And the situation in Montego Bay, St. James, in Negril and Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth, and how those are connecting back to that fight, transnational organized crime. One of the things that he's talked to us about also is how the drug trade is changing, and they're moving away from the cocaine to fentanyl and so on. And one of the things that we touched on, but we haven't really fleshed out yet, and I think I'm going to be talking with our brother Darius Figueroa about this shortly, not today, but shortly, is how the war is also manifesting, the drug wars I'm talking, Pax Mexicana and Pax Colombiana, in a drug war on the island of Jamaica, and how this is manifesting in police killings. We're not going to say much more because we can say much more and we need to say much more. And but I think so we're not afraid, we're afraid. Oh, goodness gracious me, let me drink some coffee. And they got me afraid, you know. It's not that I'm not afraid, right? It's just that somebody have to say it. So hold on. It's black coffee. But anyway, Peter, can we take from Carrie Lake, I don't know if you can find that, where she's talking about crime, transnational organized crime, and all right, so let's go to that. Peter's working hard behind the scenes. I thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much. All right. Yes, go ahead.
Statement, you mentioned working with the Jamaican government to combat lottery scams that target vulnerable American victims to the tune of $300 million annually. Jamaica has struggled for years to prosecute these networks domestically. If confirmed, what practical resources or support would you pursue to encourage more effective cooperation between our law enforcement agencies to stop these scams?
Thank you for asking that question, Senator. I think people think, how could you get scammed out of your life savings? But there are some bad actors in Jamaica who have really honed the skill of bilking people out of their money through these lottery scams and other financial scams. And so we will work very closely with Jamaican law enforcement officials. We already have a great relationship. We'll work with our counterparts at the State Department, and we will work with local law enforcement here in the United States to make sure that we're doing everything we can to alert people to this problem, because I think a lot of people unsuspectingly don't even realize that they're obviously being caught up in a scam, and then prosecute people to the fullest extent of the law. And I will put pressure on the Jamaican government, if I'm confirmed, to really prosecute and take seriously these types of crimes.
It's like I want to come back to you on a related topic here, and that has to do, beyond your normal role as ambassador, you're going to be responsible for an interagency effort to deal with US-Jamaica counter-narcotics efforts. And that's going to require leading a team that has personnel in the State Department side and in law enforcement. Can you just illuminate us in terms of how you plan to approach that challenge?
Thank you so much for the question. And I want to commend the people who are on the ground in Jamaica. From what I understand, they're doing incredible work working with the Jamaican authorities. We're taking the incredible knowledge we have in law enforcement here in America. We have also in investigations, and we're helping to train additional forces in Jamaica. And we'll be working with the Department of War. I understand that they are very much hot on bringing down these narco-terrorists. Most of the drugs, from what I understand, are coming from Colombia, about 40% of the drugs coming from Colombia. And they stop at Jamaica, and then they go out to other areas. Some of them are making their way into the United States. One death from fentanyl or overdose from drugs, in my opinion, is one death too many. And I'm glad we have a president who's taking this issue seriously. Fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction. And I think that the people of Jamaica deserve the safety that their government is now working to help provide. They've brought down the murder rates by 43%, from what I understand, in the country. They're making huge progress in making Jamaica a safer country, and I think the people of Jamaica deserve that, and the people of America deserve that as well.
Ms. Lake, what can you tell us about your take on the best way to help Jamaica? As ambassador confirmed, you intend to focus more on aid or on lifting trade burdens, on increasing economic opportunities for the island?
Thank you, Senator Lee, for that question. I think it's if confirmed, we're going to look at everything. We're going to hit the ground running and look at ways to expand American business opportunities and try to level the playing field, because right now, as we know, when we're competing with for a contract or a tender with the CCP or the CCP-controlled company, oftentimes they'll underbid the United States. We want to make sure that we're working with Jamaica to make sure that there's a level playing field so that American businesses have a real shot to do great work. We know that we provide better quality work. We hire Jamaicans, and we want to make sure that we're assisting and also allowing for American companies to expand. I think there's big companies that could help right now. There's a huge need as they're rebuilding after this Category 5, which devastated especially the southern and western part of the island. And if we don't take an active approach to getting American companies in to bid and get some of these big purchases and big jobs, we're going to see the vacuum filled by more Chinese influence in that country. And that's concerning to me. I think it's concerning to both sides of the aisle when it comes to what China has done and their influence so close to home.
We've seen that all over this hemisphere, in many parts of Central and South America. China gaining footholds, putting a base in Argentina, for example. A lot of increased ties with Brazil, with the current government in Colombia, just to name a few. I would imagine that adding Jamaica to the list, securing significant foothold in Jamaica would be a huge feather in the cap for the CCP folk who really want a massive inroad at the doorstep of continental United States of America. What do you think that is the best antidote to that, and how can you work with the Jamaican government to discourage that from happening?
Yes, right now the Chinese have a massive stake in one of the key ports in Kingston. I think they have a 49% control over it, and that puts us at risk. And so we need to rebalance things and work with the Jamaican government on that. And, not just big businesses, there's small businesses as well. I love this story. We all know that Jamaica has incredible athletes. They dominate in track and field and in gold medals. The fastest man in the world, Usain Bolt. We all watched as he wowed the world. But they're one of the only tropical climates that also has a winter Olympic team.
All right, so they're going into small businesses and so on. But do you understand what's happening here? This is the Cold War between the U.S. and China is being fought on the island of Jamaica. And this is not new. It's been happening for a while. When Marco Rubio came here, that's what that was about. The Cuban doctors are no longer on the island. The Cuban nurses are no longer on the island. And if you look at, we have been talking for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've been focusing on U.S. counterterrorism strategy 2026, because they've published the document, and I hope that you've read the document. We did a précis for you, a summary that we put up on a screen, and I think we still have them. We can shoot them back up again so you can have a look at them. breaking that down, U.S. counterterrorism strategy with a focus on the Caribbean, also a focus on Africa, telling you exactly what they are, their areas of security cooperation, investment initiatives, technology partnerships, telecommunication policy, and port, P-O-R-T, development. Let's not get this wrong, you know. This hearing and what we heard Carrie Lake saying, this is a strategy of the current United States government, but it's not just the current. This is U.S. foreign policy as it regards Jamaica. It doesn't matter who is in power, whether it's the Republicans or the Democrats. It don't matter who is in power. So for me, we need to pay close attention. And listen, this is how they're talking about Jamaica. This is how they talk about Jamaica, behind our backs and right in front of us, right? Listen, if you're not watching this program on YouTube this morning, please go to YouTube. You know how to go to YouTube and watch, right? Go to YouTube, because right now we have online, put up on the screen. I have gone through the document. I've broken down the document. I've fed it to the AI situation, and we have broken them down in the different categories of the U.S. counterterrorism strategies. Now, we're recalling the U.S. counterterrorism strategy. We're also, let me do this. Doctoral thesis, Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He earned his Doctor of Philosophy in Law and Policy from Northeastern University in Boston, with his research focusing on how American firearm legislation fuels illegal arms trade in Jamaica. The title of his doctoral thesis is From the States to the Streets: The Impact of U.S. Gun Laws and Gun Violence in Jamaica. We're going to come back to that. Everything is connected. Everything is connected. Everything is connected. And the U.S. ambassador to... Jamaica's ambassador to the U.S., I heard that he has handed in his resignation now, because he's now heading up NARA. And one of the R's in NARA is resilience. We're going to come back to that at another time. We have a lot to talk about on this Father's Day. Happy Father's Day on the island. All right. Let me just go talk to some fathers who are doing some work. Where are they now? They're in Savannah, Lamar, re-roofing the Vie Okconor Basic School in Betheltown, Westmoreland. We're going to come back to all of the conversations that we're having, the geopolitical issues, but we're touching base with family. And okay, so I'm not sure who we have in the room. We're not getting most of the persons who are scheduled to speak. So we have Lorraine, Sister Lorraine McPherson. Hey, my sister, how you doing? I'm not hearing you. You're mute, I think. All right. So it's okay. Yeah. Okay. So unmute. And I think I see Black X behind you. Greetings, Black X, my brother. How you doing? All right. So they're muted. All right. So I'm not hearing them, and I'm all the way up. Yeah. Unmute. Did you unmute? Oh yeah. I'm hearing that little sound there because you're outside. Lorraine, how you do?
I'm doing fine, Cabo. Thanks
There you go.
Giving us this chance.
You're looking great. We're not getting the principal of the school, and we're not getting the president of the Rotary Club of Savannah, Lamar. But you're there, my sister, and I know Black X is there. Greeting, Black X. Thank you so much. Tell us quickly what's happening at the school, Sister Lorraine.
Okay. We have gotten a chance due to Hurricane Melissa. Yes, we had an issue with the roof in the school, the Vie Okconor School.
Yes.
So in Betheltown. So I'm speaking from that perspective that we had the roof taken off. Yes. And
we're losing you, and I think it's because you're moving around a bit. All right. So if you could go back where you were at the beginning, because I know I see you walking. We're losing you, Sister Lorraine, and that's because you're walking around.
All right.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the Vie Okconor School in Betheltown, and Betheltown is one of the areas in Westmoreland that was seriously affected by Hurricane Melissa. All right. And all right. So go ahead, and so there's work being done at the school now. All right. I know.
Yes, work is being done at the school now.
Mm-hmm.
You're hearing me?
Yes.
Yes. So we met up with the Rotary Club of Savlamar.
Yes.
President Jean Powell is the president at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So she gave us a chance to help the school, and therefore we found that this assistance was so important.
All right, so I think we also have online now, and I hope she's able to come through, the principal of the school, Patricia Duhaney. Patricia, are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing.
All right, so she's coming through on telephone. All right, thank you so much for joining us. All right, so and our sister Lorraine McPherson, who is a contractor. I wouldn't say she's a contractor for the work of the school. All right, tell us a little bit first of all about the school, about the Vie Okconor Basic School.
Okay, the Vie Okconor Basic School is situated in Betheltown, Westmoreland, Galloway district. Before it became the Vie Okconor UCI, it used to be Galloway Basic School at a different location. It was
great for you to be there in.
Go ahead.
It was old in a boarded one room.
Yes.
And after the founder died, Miss Vie Okconor, the other previous chairman lobbied to get a new school building, which come through with JCF and the Baptist Union. So they found a new location, and that new location is where it is now.
Okay. And obviously the Hurricane Melissa, because Betheltown, one of the areas that was so seriously hit and badly damaged, and the roof of a school actually was destroyed.
All the roof of the 4 classrooms are gone.
Wow. All right, so in terms of the contractor work, Sister Lorraine McPherson, what work is being done now? Because I know you and Black X are the contractor on this, you know.
Yes, I'm there. I'm there with her most of the time up to yesterday. So it was partially covered now. When I was leaving yesterday, because I had to leave to do some graduation stuff in school.
Yes.
So it was partially covered. I left the men working, and Lauren went to get some more zinc.
Okay, she's right here. So let me have her talk about it a bit. So Lauren, tell us about how far the work has gone and what is left to be done.
We want to thank our workmen. We have men like Veron from Castle Mountain in Betheltown and his team that came. They work relentlessly because, as you know, we have only gotten a partial donation to do this job. So they have basically taken it up as a charity work also.
Yeah. Lauren, this is interesting because we've heard that so much monies that have come in for a hurricane relief that have not been distributed yet. And yet you have a school, a basic school, that lost its entire roof, but still struggling for the roof to be replaced. What's the situation? Let me ask the Principal Patricia, have you spoken? What are you hearing from government? Because there's so much monies.
We, the ECC personnel, came twice. After the storm, she came, one of the officers, took pictures, said they send her to took some pictures of the damage.
Yes, and we're seeing the pictures now, yes.
She came back another time for us to go to a hardware to get invites, like cost of stuff, some estimate price, and I gave it back to her.
And
what? They said they would send it in. I haven't heard anything yet.
But I don't even want to say what I shouldn't say on the radio. Because there's so much money. Less than 2% of the billions collected have been used. But we have a basic school in Betheltown that is struggling, that the roof is still not back on. Prime Minister Holness, are you hearing this, Mr. Prime Minister?
And after
Dana Dixon, Minister of Education, are you hearing this? Are you hearing this?
So we went to a meeting in Savlamar. That's where we always went. And one of the developmental officers, told us that they put some names into a box and refer the names. So whatsoever school come up, that is school they were going to assist. We were saying, oh, come, everybody get damaged. No, Rafa shouldn't be going on. Everybody should get their fair share.
You mean to tell me that the schools that have been destroyed in Hurricane Melissa, especially in Westmoreland, remember now that Westmoreland was one of the parishes that was, in terms of the damage done to Jamaica by Hurricane Melissa, Westmoreland is ground zero.
Sure.
Are you telling me that authorities, agents connected to the distribution of charity, monies that were collected, whether it's from government sources or monies that collected from people overseas, however the monies were collected, that they are raffling the money, that they are putting them in bags, putting the names of schools in bags,
that's what they told
and raffling the names of the schools. Principal Patricia Duhaney, are you serious about this?
Yes, that's what they told us. We went to a meeting down here and teachers were telling their girls who school get damaged and so forth. And that's what they said. But
do not move on it. Tell me again what they said.
That they put some schools into a box and take up names. So whoever name comes up, that is school they're going to help.
Lorraine, my sister Lorraine, Black X, is all that go?
Yes.
All that go? All that go?
That's a serious situation. We only know that we do what we can do, and the Rotary of Salvamar have been the one that have stepped up to help with this project.
I was so delighted.
Right now, we can only put the zinc on. The ceiling, it is still not being done. So the heat is going to be unbearable for the children. So we still have that aspect. We have the electrical to do. We have, there's a cafeteria area and sitting area for the children still needs to be covered. So much work needs to be done on that school.
So where are the children? Are they still, Principal, are the children still coming to school in that condition?
Sure.
So what them do when rainfall?
We dismiss early. We told the parents, I just see the time black up, send for them.
Then what them do when sun hot?
It's okay because
no pure zinc, but no zinc, it not seal it. No pure zinc.
Yeah, it was tarpaulin. We are not tarpaulin. As far as the zinc.
Tarpaulin. Yes,
tarpaulin.
So it has been on tarpaulin since Melissa. So we are now just getting the zinc part going on.
Yes.
At present, we have reached the 3/4 of the job. So we still have a little bit left, as in to put on the zinc. However, as I was saying, the school has not been sealed. So when it's when the zinc is on alone, it's going to be very hot for the kids still. And
so what do we need? I'm sorry that I have to wrap up here because we're totally out of time. But what is needed now?
Okay, so we need more resources, financial resources to complete the job that is there. Sealing, taking care of the cafeteria area where it should be covered. It's not covered. We have any zinc down there, just tarpaulins. We have areas that we need to, electrical that needs to be done. We have some tiles that were missing. I don't know if it's the damage from the Melissa or whatever, but we still need to do some tiling.
It's very difficult for me to ask people how they can contribute, because one thing I know is that a lot of contributions have come in already for Westmoreland in particular. It's just that it hasn't reached you. The contribution don't post. Yes, it don't not filter down to Bethel to the Vie Okconor School or to Bethel Town. So I don't know what to say. I'm not going to ask nobody for anything. I think Black X, shake your head, nod your head if you agree with me, Black X, because I'm right. I think the government, the Ministry of Local Government, the Office of the Prime Minister, and whoever listens to this program to get it to come off of the air every Sunday, go and say to these people that Bethel Town, and specifically at this minute, the Vie Okconor Basic School, people are doing the work that they can do. But there is a problem with the roof and other issues right there now. And you've got the money. Please. And they're raffling the money in the area. My sister, I do have to go, but I'm going to give the final word. Yes.
Our mayor of Westmoreland, is also the councillor for the Bethel Town Division. Right? And we have not seen him present himself, nor send anyone to show any sort of...
Who is the mayor?
Danry Delancey.
Delancey?
Danry Delancey. He's also the mayor.
Mayor Delancey. Mr. Mayor Delancey. You owe the people an explanation. The Minister of Local Government, the Minister of Education, the Prime Minister, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education. You owe the people of Bethel Town an explanation. Thank you all so much.
Thank you too.
All right. Take care.
FM.
All right, it's Father's Day on the island. Welcome back. You're inside of the Africa Forum. This is Running Africa. And once again, happy Father's Day to you. We crave your indulgence this morning because there are a slew of things, a whole lot of stuff happening on the island and geopolitically that's centering Jamaica that we have to talk about. And this is one of the reasons why we haven't gone to our usual go-to, which is to take your greetings so far. One of the things that we mentioned earlier that I want to talk about is that since last Thursday, June 18, 2026, the USS Fort Lauderdale, LPD 28, a versatile warship to transport and deploy troops, vehicles, and landing craft, has been docked in Ocho Rios. It has been in the Caribbean. It is docked in Ocho Rios. It was there up to yesterday. What I find interesting is that there's no conversation about it. No discussion about it in Jamaica. It hasn't made the news in Jamaica. But this is an amphibious transport dock. And there's a lot of information about it. I think I did some research, if I can put my hands on that now. But this is a warship that is, if you were going to say which one of these warships are a more serious warship, is it the Nimitz or the USS Fort Lauderdale? If you were going to make a distinction or rate them, this in Ocho Rios is a more serious warship, not the Nimitz. We spent a lot of time talking about the Nimitz. It was a 9-day wonder. The Nimitz, Jamaica... The militarization of Jamaica is no joke. The ongoing militarization of Jamaica is no joke. This is, we need a danger sign. Danger. Warning. The militarization of Jamaica is an ongoing process. In the 1990s, along with my friend and brother Cecil Gutsmore, we did a series of programs that lasted some 3 years on the militarization of the Caribbean waters, because we were looking at Southcoming Jamaica, but specifically at the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative. And we talked about what that was going to lead to. In the 2010s, when we saw what was happening in Africa with AFRICOM, we, not with Cecil this time, but just generally across the space, we looked again at the militarization of the Caribbean waters. In 2022, we spoke again. As a matter of fact, COVID was when? 2019, 2020. We spoke again about the militarization during COVID of the Caribbean waters. But specifically now, what we're seeing, putting into action, and we go back to the United States Counterterrorism Strategy 2026. It's a published document. Everything is connected and it's all falling in place. There is a deep militarization of Jamaica. There's a militarization of the Caribbean waters, but specifically Jamaica. What is that warship that is now on your screens? For those who are listening on the 107s, I can describe a warship to you, but Google it. It named the USS Fort Lauderdale, right? It is docked in Oterias. It has been docked in Oterias, and it is connected to the militarization of the Caribbean waters. Jamaica is being militarized. We're seeing an expansion of U.S. security footprint in the Caribbean. And if we go back to connect that with what we just heard from Carrie Lake, the ambassador who's coming into Jamaica, it makes more sense. China in Jamaica, China is listening. China is very aware of all that America has said and doing. This is a Cold War that is now heating up. It's not so cold. It's very warm, almost hot now. Is Jamaica being militarized? We don't have to ask that question anymore. We know Jamaica is at a crossroads where we're seeing U.S. security, so-called U.S. security cooperation, and the question of national sovereignty. But the Dominican Republic has already said they do not care about sovereignty anymore. Sovereignty is no longer a conversation for them. That's what's happening in the Dominican Republic. In Trinidad and Tobago, they are not concerned about sovereignty either. In Guyana, they are not concerned about sovereignty. In Jamaica, we've heard from the Prime Minister, and he says, you can't just go on throwing around the word sovereignty. I'm paraphrasing there. So this is a new Caribbean frontier, but not so new, where we're seeing U.S. military influence and security expansion. How serious is this? What does that mean for the Jamaican? Or, we don't even want to say ordinary Jamaican. What does that mean for us as a people? Who turned off the light? Was it a threat to Jamaica? And why? But we did say it was a threat. We think it's a threat. We believe it's a threat. We know it's a threat. And the thing about it being a threat to Jamaica is that those who know. And that is why the JPS got 30 days to say, because after 30 days, we don't care how Jamaica was. Why did Jamaica go fully dark? We don't know what is happening at Navassa Island. It's smoke and mirrors. They want us to think it's about Cuba. It has nothing to do with Cuba. Nothing to do with Cuba. I told you before, it has everything to do with China. It's not Cuba. Never Cuba. Never Cuba. And I'm telling you why it's never Cuba. Because they've got Guantanamo Bay. They have Guantanamo Bay. Florida is just 2 minutes from Cuba. They can do anything they want to do. Not that we're agreeing with what they're about to do, you know. It's that they have access to Cuba. They don't need Jamaica to launch no weapons from Jamaica. They do not. They do not. All they have to be concerned about is the guerrilla warfare that's going to hit them once they take over Cuba. if they take over Cuba, because we reject that. You know, I mean, I am so frustrated because our focus is always somewhere else. They're telling us to look over here. So who you think start this whole conversation about Cuba? That they're coming in because of Cuba. Why do you think we're talking about Cuba? It has nothing to do with Cuba. This is a new world economic order. This is a new world order. The war between China and America has moved, relocated to the Caribbean. What is this warship USS Fort Lauderdale doing in Ocho? Have you looked it up and to see what it can carry and how much soldiers it can carry? It is a versatile warship to transport and deploy troops. Landing craft, vehicles. It's a militarization of Jamaica that's happening right under our noses. Go and read the Prime Minister's thesis. Anybody read Andrew Holness's thesis yet? It is all connected. Once again, courage is not the absence of fear. It is understanding, feeling the fear, and doing it anyway. And we are going to have to speak the truth. We must speak truth to power. As a people, we're playing. Jamaican people, we're play. We're losing access to everything: access to the ocean, access to the water, access to the sea, access to the fresh water, the salt water, the ocean, the marine ecology. We'll lose access to every single thing. And we're here dancing and beating the little drum and the big drum and the small drum and talking about how we're independent. I have to go to another interview or take another break. But there is a warship. It's been there up to yesterday. It was there. The images you're seeing on the screen, these are photographs. These are photographs. These are not pictures taken from, online, from Google. These are photographs owned by me and my husband. If you don't want to use them, use them. We give them to you. These are photographs. This ship that you see on the screen, for those who are watching on Facebook, YouTube, IG, this is a photograph of the warship. This is a more dangerous warship than the Nimitz. This warship is meant to do something. Jamaican media has not reported on this. There is a radio station in Ocho. I work there. And they shipped down there from the other day. There's a radio station in Kingston. They have not just a radio station, many TV. Don't tell me that journalists don't know that this ship. Why is this ship? Let me hear some of what's happening to the broadcast this morning. Have nothing to do with Ira from us right here. There's some stuff that's happening to the broadcast, and we apologize. We're gonna do it anyway. Joining me on the phone lines now, President of JABM. Happy Father's Day to you, my brother, Dr. Devon Taylor. How you doing? Happy Father's Day. You hearing me, Devon? Okay. Okay, so he's not hearing me. All right. Okay, so Devon is not hearing me right now, but he's standing by. He's going to come on shortly. Let me just say that thank you so much. K. Ezekwe texted me earlier. He said, although the UK is becoming ungovernable, you have to admit there's a level of accountability there. We have a same Westminster thing here, but it operates as a lodge of no accountability. And you're so right about that, K. that there is a level of accountability that has had Keir Starmer on the ropes for the last year. And now we're looking, and the reporting is that he's out. And even though we talk about the UK being ungovernable, the state, their democracy, if you will, allows them to hold leaders accountable. We do not. We say we say we're using the Westminster style democracy, and that we also say that we're using their constitution, which them not have none. Them not have no written constitution. But at the same time, we're not subscribed. We have the mace and all of that, but we're not subscribed to the morals and the standards that they subscribe to in their parliament. No, sir. I know that there's another thing happening on the island, regarding the Integrity Commission. I didn't really plan to talk much about it today, but the Integrity Commission has said that there's a report from the Integrity Commission, which is, I know I'm distracted because I don't know if Devon is hearing me now. Devon, you're hearing me now? All right.
Yes.
Okay,
yes, I
brilliant.
can hear you now.
Brilliant. I'm hearing you and I'm seeing you. Happy Father's Day.
Give thanks.
Yes, man. And you see, I know you're about the people's business on this Father's Day. Here you are. Here you are. Welcome, Chief Tetri. Welcome. In the spirit of our ancestors, and we are not afraid to say that we're Tetri's children. We're not afraid to say that we're Paul Bogle's children. We're not afraid to say that we are Queen Nanny's children. So welcome, son of Chief Tetri. How you doing?
Doing well, give thanks, what I mean? It says Father's Day, so, it's a day also for the fathers to reflect if they have also been good fathers, not only to their children, but to all children. Yeah. As well as to the direction in which we see the nation is going and the important role that fathers play in the development of any society.
That is so true. And as we talk about the role that fathers play in the development of a society, the JABM, which also is a group that includes so many hardworking Jamaican fathers, has been doing some serious work on the island. For those who do not know what JABM is, remind us.
JABM is the Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement. This is a movement that is in Jamaica rooted in social justice, rooted in economic justice and environmental justice, as we try to remove discriminatory beach access policy that is discriminating against the Jamaican people and that is destroying our ecological heritage as it relates to, our coastline, and the floor of the sea. And
an update from you, because you've been in this space a lot, an update from you today, because this is a very busy season for JABM. We're seeing a flurry of reporting in Jamaica's two leading newspapers, The Observer, the Jamaica Observer, and the Jamaica Gleaner, that seem to be, interestingly, countering the people's fight, or standing against the people of Jamaica and their fight and our fight for access to the water, fresh water, salt water, and just access to water to the coastline of Jamaica. Have you been looking at these reports? Have you been reading them or just discarding them?
No, we read everything. I mean, even when the journalism's pieces are PR, public relation pieces for different sectors of the society, right? And, sometimes pro-government in terms of the policy that they're pushing. So we have read these articles. The articles are, very misleading, and they're alarmist article. The articles reflect, some similar sentiments when, the descendants of enslaved Africans were about to be emancipated. Then you have all these kind of articles coming out that, well, you can't really free the slaves, because who's going to do the work? Who we going to control? Society cannot be run without these controls. And so these articles are in the spirit of the systems of oppression, right? That always hold down, black people, right? And so they're spreading misleading information, broadcasting lies about what it would mean in a Jamaica when beaches are, open up, beaches are freely accessed, and when laws and legislation are changed to accommodate the inherent and fundamental rights of the Jamaican people to beaches.
There's an interesting article, for example, in the Jamaica Gleaner, June 19, 2026. Public beach warning. stakeholders sound alarm that free access could leave security and maintenance gaps. And I'm not sure if Peter can find that, but it's interesting because, and you went there just now because I was going to take you there, Devon, which is to say, it is a colonial style article. It is the kind of thing that you would see coming out on the backside just before emancipation or within the conversations, when the ongoing conversations of the abolition of slavery coming out of England. The history is going to put the Jamaica newspapers in perspective on the backside of this fight. But it's not just the Jamaica Gleaner that's doing this. The Jamaica Observer was out ahead of the Jamaica Gleaner, talking about access to Blue Lagoon, for example, and rubbishing claims by JABM, myself and others who have experienced discrimination and a refusal by security on the ground for us to access the Blue Lagoon. That the Jamaica Observer has come out to say that it is not true. That in essence, we are lying. Your perspective.
It was unequivocal that we are lying, that there are restrictions in the Blue Lagoon, that we are lying, that the Jamaican people don't have fundamental rights to the Blue Lagoon, right? And that, we should stop damaging the country's image and reputation. And, it came after, the claimants, right? It came after the Jamaican people, right? When this is a newspaper that should have done its journalism work. But we have put the press release out there with all the information objectively so the public can understand, why was an article written like this? And it is our view that the Jamaica Observer is, acting in a very irresponsible capacity by not making information that would be relevant to the public known, that, who owns the Observer, what the connections of the ownership is to the fight in the Blue Lagoon, and who released the video first, and that person's also connection to defendants in the Blue Lagoon.
This is the role of the media, and I think that the media has a responsibility, I think, because the Jamaica Observer being the media, there has to be balanced reporting. Propaganda, there's nothing wrong with propaganda. Marcus Garvey tells us that. We if we want to propagandize, that's their business. But then when media is being backed by a broadcast license, which feeds into institutions and organizations paid for by our tax dollars, then it becomes a whole other matter. And so I see where the media is failing the people of Jamaica in our fight for liberation. And that is why on this Father's Day we cannot afford to be taking greetings when the liberation struggle is being stymied, hijacked, attacked, sabotaged, and we're being hit over the head. Bring us up to date, Devon. Oh, let me take this quick break. Hang on. Of the people, their own representatives, to court. Help us to understand what happens in court. Because the government is supposed to be representing the people, right?
Yes.
Or you would think so, at least.
That would be what we thought, that our government would represent our rights, our interests, and advocate, policies in place that would be benefit to the country, right? But this is not so as it relates to beach policy. Remember, Beach Control Act of 1956 has been in place now for 70 years, and the government have not changed that when it explicitly states that we have no right. So that is one way now we can see clearly that the government is not, for the people. In terms of our rights to these spaces, when these spaces are truly economic spaces that drive 35% of GDP that we're not participating in fully. So that is in terms of our economic rights are not being fully realized, and advocated by the government, right? Our recreational rights. Okay, our rights, just the freedom of movement, to carry out our liberty as it relates to the coastline. The government should be protecting that. So the government is not doing that. So what we have to do, we have to stand up and fight. And that is why we're in the courts. We have 5 of these cases in the courts. Right now, I want to spotlight the case in the Blue Lagoon. And I want the country to understand that not because there are these, 5, plaintiffs and, 2 organizations that are, a party to, the case. This is a representation of all Jamaicans, right? So a victory here by the claimants in the Blue Lagoon is a victory for Jamaica, right? And this is a prescriptive rights case for the tracks and the pathway leading to the Blue Lagoon, which is a restricted road. The Blue Old Parochial Road is a restricted road, right? You can't freely traverse it when you want to traverse the road, right? The tracks on the road on the pathway that leads to the mineral spring, okay, these tracks are not freely accessible, because they run over private land, and we have to seek the court, to really, cement our rights under the Prescription Act of 1882. So I can't say much more. Proceedings are ongoing. The first witness has already been examined. The trial resumed on Monday. So we are asking the people, the best thing that you can do right now as a Jamaican, and I'm speaking to my brothers and sisters in Portland, is to show up in the Portland, in the Port Antonio Parish Court on Monday and Wednesday and Friday of this week. The trial continues for these 3 days, and the way how you support the rights to the Blue Lagoon, which is a national monument that we've been blocked out of, restricted. We have to protest. You were on the front line, Kabu, coming up against the violence, the militaristic state that tried to block you out there. Well, not try, but blocked you out there, armed security there. That's what you stood up. And we can't forget that, right? There were military vehicles, that displaced the ones them from the Blue Lagoon, destroy their raft, cut them up and throw them away, right? This was a violence perpetrated by the state against the people. And so you must play your part in this. The brethren, them attack the heavy lifting. They're doing the heavy load, put themselves out there, right? Open themselves up to all kinds of risk, right? I myself felt threatened in the Blue Lagoon that I had to file a police report, okay, to the Portland Parish, police. And other members have faced these similar threats. So we're asking the public to show up in the court to support the fight for the Blue Lagoon. This is an easy task. All the brethren them in Ferry Hill, Zion Hill, going all back up Islington, Long Bay, Mansion Hill, right? All these coming to Drapers. We're asking you to come out and come to the court on Monday, on Wednesday, and Friday and sit with the brethren them. That's the Blue Lagoon. And regardless of what you're reading in the newspapers, and once again, we must say that media literacy is no joke in a time like this. We must ask ourselves when we're reading newspapers and when we're watching television, even when you're listening to this program, what are the biases of the people involved? That's basically it. Who owned the station? Who owned the newspaper? Who owned the space that the person is standing up in? Who is this person who has written this? What the person bias is? We have to look at that to understand if we want to understand what's really happening, especially in this context with the access to the beach. Where do we go from here? Because I know we're fighting on many fronts, fighting the propaganda in the newspapers, fighting in the courts, fighting our own government in the courts. What happens next? And I'm asking this against a background, Devon, of understanding that legal change within the courts are, always good when it can affect the law. But constitutional change is always more effective than a court case. So what is our thinking and what is JABM's way forward regarding how the Constitution can be amended or reformed to deal with this issue? Yeah, there's a clause, in the Charter of Rights, Section 13, that speaks to the right to an healthy environment, right? That we should have that right. It's of course something that we're looking at, but the legislation must be amended, right? We ask in one of JABM's aim that the constitutionality of the access rights to beaches must be enshrined, just as our property rights, to land is enshrined in the Constitution, then a commons, a space that is common to all Jamaican, which is beaches, rivers, the sea, must also be enshrined in the Jamaican Constitution that gives us inalienable right, fundamental rights, and fettered rights to this space. Because you can't own the sea and you can't own the beaches. And since you can't own it, these space must be vested in the people, for the people to freely use. Right? And so constitutionally, that should be reflected. And it's something that we are actively lobbying for, right?
Of course.
You go to JABM site, you see we ask for that. Oh, what's the pathway to, seeing this happen? It's advocacy. It's advocacy by the people speaking up, and that's why we're doing the political education, making the Jamaican people conscious that legislation exists on the books right now that violates your humanity.
Yes.
Right? It does violate your right. It tells you that you are not free to move in our space, right? It tells you that your right to leisure is controlled through a permission system, and the spaces that you should be using, right, to access the beaches is controlled by the government, right?
Yes.
And so the beach is a regime, a property regime, just as the bodies of black people were property during the time of slavery. The beach is now the property of the state to do what it wants to do, how it wants to do it. And the state, in collusion, right, with elite, private, big man, capitalist interest, is really violating your rights, just as your humanity was violated in a slavery with the state and with the private elite, right? This is the comparison. This is why what's unfolding at the beach is a plantation tourism model. It brings us right back into the colonial logic of slavery, when black bodies were property of the state, of private interests to do what they want to do with it. That is how they have treated the foreshore and those who primarily work there in the hospitality industries. So the parallels are very similar, and that's a violation of the Jamaican people. Right? And the government is at the heart of it. And I say government, I speak of successive government over all the different administrations since 1956 have kept this law in place. And the Jamaican people have to know, once a policy says you have no right in or over the foreshore of the island, no right to bathe, no right to swim, no right to walk, and no right to fish, that's a violation of your rights.
Yeah.
And the political class with the elite have maintained that, and we are fighting against this. Though the court case, which is the legal advocacy, is a very important part of the fight, for liberation of the coastline. What I find fully in that.
What I find interesting in the Gleaner article published 2 days ago or yesterday, was it the 19th? It says, a growing call for Jamaicans to be allowed to enjoy public beach free of charge is bringing sharp focus to urgent maintenance concerns, including the need for lifeguards and sanitary facilities, which could seriously affect day-to-day operations at open facilities. Now, that's quite all right. Then it says local officials, while endorsing free access, acknowledging high maintenance costs and the need for robust oversight, raising questions about whether public beach access can be streamlined to the benefit of all, allowing visitors to enjoy beaches free from fear and free of fear without compromising safety and cleanliness. So,
Abu,
yes,
let me deal with this thing around fee, because it's like them pushing our head, say, well, if you're going to charge a fee for the bathroom or so, it's allowed, right? We can pay for something to the beaches. Tourism made $4.3 billion in 2024. And in 2025, right, it made similar amount of money. Out of the $4 billion, you are telling me that none of that budget could be afforded, right, to maintain a bathroom on a beach, right? The Tourism Enhancement Fund collects a percent of every airline ticket in the Jamaica, and the Jamaica government have several. Look at that plane ticket and see the breakdown. Monies come into the government from, tourists coming into the country. You are telling me that none of that budget can be used to subsidize bathroom?
No, because you have to sponsor festivals, pirate festivals in Jamaica, the celebration of piracy. You have to sponsor pirate festivals in Port Royal, and you have to sponsor Carnival, and you have to sponsor all of these entertainment events that either denigrate or devalue women or the Jamaican people, or celebrate enslavement, pedophilia, and sexual deviancy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
so
what happens.
The money is channeled in the other spaces that are important to the power structure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying that money is there to deal with the sanitary facility, and is there to take care of the grounds. There are many ways you could actually keep a beach clean, right? By engaging the community, right? There are several environmental groups, that we want to promote the spirit of volunteerism, to be environmental stewards. There are many kids across the nation who could participate in those, kind of a conservation effort. So there are different approach and models that can be used to keep, the beach space clean, and the government have the money to do so. I've heard about, no money was there in structural divestment, and so beach went into disrepair. That's because the government has never partnered with the people to find alternative models as to how to manage our environment. They always move in this kind of capitalist kind of thinking that if I don't have money to sweep my yard or, take care of something, then it cannot happen. There's no other alternative model. But we are here to tell you that this social construct of our society, right, is there to be relied upon. You can engage the people, partnership with communities, and these problems are solved. I'm not subscribing to that. Security piece, are we out of time?
And it's interesting because they're talking about free from fear and free of fear, and that you tap into again. We must fear our own people. We must fear our people when we go to the beach. We must fear our people in the spaces that we convert. And this, you see, we become what we say we are. This is basically it. Devon, we're out of time. I do have to go, but once again, happy Father's Day.
Give thanks, and I just want to close by saying, the Beach Control Act was written in 1956 when there was no security concern on the island, right? And that was a repressive piece of legislation. So to use the notion that criminality is going to take over Jamaican beaches if we free them is, again, the same plantation tactic to divide the people, to paint us as, as hooligans and, as violent people and savages that we can't move in this place. The violence on the foreshore is happening because of the degradation that is happening there, the extraction that is happening there. The violence is the exploitation of the Jamaican people in a tourism sector that is plantation, contract work, untenable condition. That is the violence, ripping out the mangrove, taking out the wetlands, taking out the seagrass beds, and denigrating the foreshore by building.
The injustice of
the
poverty.
Violence is building in the sea where you're taking out over 10 acres of grass bed. It is not the people. The footprint of the people is very minimal compared to the construct of the state in partnership with private interests. So don't try to bring this across in 2026 that we are the guilty ones. We are the perpetrator of violence against the foreshore. It is the other way around.
Thank you so much, Devon. Thank you so much, my brother.
Blessings.
You get chopped?
In journalism in Jamaica, it is. And they award themselves, Every year them have a journalism award. They award themselves. But we are going to speak the truth. We must speak truth to power. And if it was up to me alone, we don't have no journalism award in Jamaica. Because there's no need to award ourselves for anything at all. Nothing. Apart from to ensure that we're speaking truth and revealing truth to the masses of the Jamaican people. We're still looking at the FIFA World Cup. It is ongoing. And it has been inadvertently or deliberately interwoven into the fabric of the fog of war. So as the World Cup goes on, there's just so much more that is happening with that, right? And below the global struggle for survival and the current social and economic situation, we're still enjoying Ivory Coast. Hi, Peter. How your team doing? 2-1. Was it 2-1?
2-1. We make it out of the group stage.
You make it out of the group stage.
We win.
Oh, so Peter said Ivory Coast win. What? Oh, you're winning. Oh, you will make it out of the. Okay, you will make it out of the group stage. So Ivory Coast is doing pretty well. The African teams are not doing so badly. I don't think. No. How did Haiti do? I didn't see that much. This one. So, but it's ongoing, and we're having matches today. I know somebody's going to send me the information. Let's see. All right. A lot coming in. A whole lot coming. There's something that has happened, right, with Peter Thiel's. There's an organization that, or a group. We call it a group or organization. What we're going to call it. But it's called Dialogue. And they're telling us that hacksters found this secret kind of a lodge-like organization that has how many people? Well, a whole lot of movers and shakers who are involved in this, and all the names have been made public by these hacksters. And the group is called Dialogue. And they're saying that it is run by Peter Thiel. But what I find interesting about this, listen, I don't think that we have to spend our time to talk about this, because the Bohemian Grove, they got up the other day and just released all the names of the people over time in the Bohemian Grove. I think the only person that reported on that in Jamaica is me. People don't really care about that anymore. The Illuminati, the Bohemian Grove is the original Illuminati, There's also another group out of England that I told you about the other day that includes all of the monarchs and all of the presidents and all of that. So there are many. This is a deep state. It's when you hear about the deep state, it includes all of these groups. So Dialogue, that they say it's a group of elite puppeteers, and their directives to their pawns of politicians, investors, entrepreneurs, military leaders, academics, executives, journalists, creating a new socio-economic world order. Now, okay. They're there. Whether Dialogue is real or not real, we know it's part of the same deep state. It's a Dialogue, Illuminati, Bohemian Grove. As a matter of fact, how Bohemian Grove? So I've been listening, right, to the Bohemian Rhapsody, because you don't know some of the Queen group. Yeah, no. So I know they have this thing about Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, right? Where they say that it is written about Queen's, it is about a man facing his sexuality, facing his humanness, having to kill off whatever part of him, because it's that mama, I kill a man. But if you listen to Bohemian Rhapsody closely, for me, I throw out every single, over the years, every single interpretation of what that song is saying. Because it seems very clear to me that he's talking about Bohemian Grove. And I've done the research over time to show that it's quite likely for him to have been talking, that's Freddie Mercury, to have been talking about the Bohemian Grove. And that it is more literal than we think it is. Anyway, I know that that's an offside, right? It's an offside. But Bohemian Grove has been there. Bohemian Rhapsody, tell us about Bohemian Grove. Listen to Bohemian Rhapsody again. There's some songs that we need to listen to. Like the other day, me and For the Hard Way, Dale Haslam and them arguing over the song Hallelujah, right? Because Hallelujah, the song, it's been sung in a lot of churches. And it has been sung on the choir and all of that. But it really is a song about... And I think it's because it starts with David, but it's David and Bathsheba, right? But it goes on to talk about, a man who's talking a woman, and anyways, it's early morning, so we can't go into all of it. But that song it's not a Christian song. No, stop singing that song in the church, because this song has been sung in churches. It's been sung on choirs. Have you heard it, Peter? Hallelujah. wonder if we can find it and play it from YouTube. Because I probably can find the a cappella, right? It is being sung just everywhere. And it's interesting that, you know, in churches now, still, as I'm speaking today, it is still being sung as a Christian song. It is not a Christian song. As a matter of fact, it's the exact opposite. So I'm going to see if I can play it from YouTube. Hallelujah. A cappella, right? There is an a cappella group. You know the a cappella group who does a really good job of it? Peter now help me know, because Peter has pentatonics, I think. All right, Peter, so hold on there. Let me see if you can help me with this. I'm going to go, where do I put it now? Oh, YouTube. So I have to go here, change that, put it on P device, and then play pentatonics. All right.
Wait.
Okay, so that is an ad. So let me take off the ad because on YouTube, we don't know it go. All right, so take this off and play. Okay, here it is. So take this off. All right. So I don't want okay. Anyway, so we're playing this song, and it's interesting because this song is everybody know this. It is sung in choirs. You know, it is sung in a church. You know, it's on a Christian song. On a Christian song. And I think the thing is the hallelujah that I think is getting to people. And also another part of it that I think is really getting is that David played and it pleased the Lord. Right? It goes like this, so forth, and so on and so forth. But anyway, it's not a Christian song. Go back and listen to the entire thing, and you realize, you know, she tied him to the kitchen chair and pulled from him, that hallelujah. It's a whole thing. Anyway, we're going totally off here now. Let me just take the break and come back. Right? We do not take it for granted. Thank you so much. Lots happening on the island. I spoke earlier of the Integrity Commission and the matter regarding Andrew Wheatley and the call from the opposition for the Prime Minister to act one way or the other. The discussion on the island. I'm not quite sure in a system where democracy is really just a mask. The question is and a mask for kleptocracy, really. And I'm not talking about Andrew Wheatley now. I'm saying that we're in a system that unmasking one individual, whether or not it is whoever it is, and whether it's going through the Integrity Commission or whatever, it is smoke and mirrors. It is the system is corrupt to the core. The system allows for all kinds of corruption in the synagogue of Satan, which is the Parliament of Jamaica. The system allows for that. We have been watching politicians, and now I'm not talking about Andrew Wheatley now, I'm talking about politicians generally, no matter which party. We've been watching them get fat. We watch them neck get fat, them belly get fat, and them bank book get fat. Some of them we know them all our lives, some of them we know them, we grew up with them. Some of them we see them around the town. And all of a sudden they enter politics, and they say they're representative politics representing the people of Jamaica. And and before you know it, them have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different houses in 5 different communities. They own more land than John read about in the Revelation. They are wealthy. There's the politics in Jamaica is a corrupt, massively corrupt situation. So that the enrichment, where people are applauding on because the Integrity Commission talk about one? Oh, give me a break. The system, I think it's about time that we stop fooling ourselves. Because we can't just pick off people one by one by one. The system is systemic. If we do not address the system that facilitates corruption in politics, then we're going to continue to pick off one here, one there, and it's not going to make no difference. So for me, it's a system that I want to see addressed. And as I said a few years ago, I think 2 years ago, the Integrity Commission needs an Integrity Commission. The whole system needs to take up and just dash away. The whole system put in a barrel and just roll down the hill. The entire system is a mess. Something is wrong with the system. We're going to have to put ourselves in charge of ourselves. This is capitalism 2.0. It is set up to allow members of parliament, politicians, to enrich themselves. It is set up that way. And that enrichment is happening right under our nose. We see them, we experience them, we know them, we hear them. So that if we're going to deal with enrichment, it has to be holistic. I cannot applaud no one person being, referred for charge or not like that. That is foolishness. I know that there's going to be a lot of disagreement on this. But what gain is there in unmasking one individual when it's the entire system that is flawed and corrupt? Oh goodness, let us not talk about it. Let us not fool ourselves about what we have here. We have a corrupt system, political system, where politicians have been enriching themselves from Wapikil Philomena and Philip now. It is what it is. We have to put ourselves in charge of ourselves, and we have to hold politicians accountable. But the one thing not going to work. It's not going to work. It's a system that is facilitating enrichment. If we do not attack the system, it is futile. Don't make no sense. So I'm not going to get into no conversation about nobody at all, or no one person that has been referred to the Integrity Commission. No, that's not a gain. It is not a gain. It's smoke and mirrors. The system is flawed. The system is corrupt. The enrichment of themselves by politicians in Jamaica has been happening for a very long time. From jumpstart. And the very same system, no matter how they say one person here or one person there. I think one person didn't even go to prison one night time. But John was writing in the Revelation. He says, I thought John was writing in the Revelation. I didn't know he was reading. Guy, he was reading and writing in the Revelation. Can I just say more than what John write about in the Revelation? Read about? No, it don't sound good, don't it, Peter? Well, if some more than John read about in the Revelation. Because read so, Peter, don't care, he might just say, yeah, you're right, you're right all the time. My sister Antonisa says, she laughing too. Parliament of Jamaica, the synagogue. Yes, the synagogue of Satan. But, all right, let me go through. My sister from Belize has sent me something. Activist Alicia Phillip detained during Labor Day march. Let me see this. This is my sister, my colleague, sister from Belize. She works in TV in Belize. So she sent me this, Sister Yaya. She says, in brief, police detained 24-year-old activist Alicia Phillip during Labor Day celebrations in Faizabad, Trinidad. Phillip has been leading protests demanding justice for the 20 January police-involved shooting of Joshua Samaru and the subsequent manslaughter charges against his partner, Kaya Seeley. Movement for Social Justice leader David Abdullah strongly condemned the detention, calling it an act of intimidation and warning that the country is heading toward a police state. Phillip and her mother are currently on bail for charges related to demonstration near the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. We'll follow that up. I'm so sorry to hear that. Thank you for sending this in, my sister. My brother Irems, he says, keep up the good work, my beloved sister, for the nation, whether they know it or not. Thank you so much, my brother, for that. And my brother Emo, thank you so much, my brother. And thank you for your texts, all of the texts that you have sent in. You talk about Horace Mitchell Swaby, born... All right, so I'm getting these. It's quite a bit. Okay, today, let me see what we have here. Saluting forgotten hero on his Earth Strong, Trevor Ijaman Levi Sutherland, singer, songwriter, musician, born 8 years ago in Christiana, Manchester. Ijaman Levi used to be a person who was always on this program in studio. We've come so far I had a man Levi was with me almost every Sunday morning back in the day. And she says, we remember a pioneer, Sonia Miss Pottinger, Nee Durant, legendary record producer and entrepreneur, born 94 years ago today in Leeds, St. Thomas. All right, thank you for that. Also, I love my producers, because this is a brother producer who's really, he not say I'm a producer, and I call him producer, who sent me all of this. And he says, we remember legend, icon, and pioneer Horace Michael Swaby, better known as Augustus Pablo, born 72 years ago in Kingston, roots reggae and dub record producer. And also 66 years ago today, Reynold Henry and members of the 1st Africa Corps ambushed, killed 2 British soldiers in Red Hills, St. Andrew. His father, Rastafarian elder Claudius Henry, preached revolution. Earlier that year had written Fidel Castro for help to overthrow the oppressors. All right, thanks for all of that information. Really made a lot of sense. All right, there's a UK ban on 16-year-olds social media. Hopefully I'll talk about that when I come back, because we're paying attention to that. It's smoke and mirrors. We're going to talk about it. It is smoke and mirrors. This UK ban on social media. It's a way to trap people into the system. It's a way to trap you into the surveillance state. Because how do you prove that you're not 16? You're going to have to prove that you're not 16. And in that way, you're feeding your information into the beast system. That's basically what it is. This banning of social media for 16-year-old. And there's another thing for it. I think Keir Starmer probably just jump and go and announced it because he saw the writing on the wall. So that's something too, that he realized that he had to give up and to resign. And so he did that before as part of his legacy, as part of a conversation. But I really think, because if you look at what Britain is doing, look at what Britain did during COVID, for example, and look at what they're doing now. We're going into the break that the UK is seeking to ban social media for children under 16 years old. And there's some celebration of this, I think, in many spaces, but I'd warn against the celebration because the UK is on a trajectory, and this is part of it. It's really smoke and mirrors. You know where I stand on children accessing social media before 16 years old, and I've been reporting on this since the 1990s, from the days of MySpace and all of that. So you already know that I'm against that. What we should have done in the early stages was to build within that the social media system itself the safeguards. So we didn't do that. So we're going to have to do it from behind. But they're not building that in now. You know what they're doing is they're finding a way to get the surveillance state centralized, and part of that includes banning children under 16, because when you get banned now under 16, you have to prove that you're 16. How you prove that you're 16 is going to determine what the system really, this policy is really about. It is failing in Australia. Australia tried this and it is failing phenomenally in Australia because it can't work this way. It has to be built within the system. It can't be a situation where you come on and you prove that you're not, because proving is where the problem is. All right? Okay. I want to go to my next very special guest online, my brother and a friend who is going to be joining me in just a minute, Bert Samuels. Bert, I'm not seeing you on Zoom, so I'm not sure if you're there. But if you're there, let me know, because in this segment we want to talk about the third country. Bert, okay, so I'm not seeing
to be photographed.
Okay, Bert. Okay, so Bert, I'm not seeing you, but I'm hearing you.
Yeah, because the camera is saying I have to go back to settings, and I'm past the age to navigate that. So can I do voice alone?
Yes, you can do voice alone. It's okay. His camera is off, right? Yeah, Bert, turn up. Bert, you see, let me tell you something about my friend Bert Samuels. Bert Samuels will call me from Coronation Market on video. right? It doesn't matter what time of the day. And now he's telling me that he's not going to turn on his camera. Well, the system is saying that he can't turn. It should do.
No, it's not allowing me to go on camera. It tells me to go to settings, and I'm not so smart with phones.
You are.
I have a smartphone, but I'm not smart.
well, listen, we're very happy to have you online.
Yes.
And you're loud and clear. Just to let you know, we're hearing you loud and clear. So that is good. So, Bert, let me just start by saying that. So the Associated Press reported on June 17, and I think it's also was reported here in the papers, right, in the Gleaner, but I'm reading from the Associated Press, that Jamaica is in discussions with the United States to accept third country deportees, a move that would add the island nation to a growing number of Caribbean countries working with the Trump administration on its immigration agenda. It goes on to say Jamaica's National Security Minister, Dr. Harris Chang, confirmed Tuesday that the country has signed a memorandum of understanding with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to accept up to 25 people from countries other than Jamaica every 2 weeks. The number we're hearing is 10,000. So regardless of how you're doing, whether it's every 2 weeks or however, this seems to be what is agreed on. From your perspective, I know you attorney at law, Pan-African attorney at law. I know you're looking at this through many, many different lenses. First of all, what can you tell us? What is your understanding of what this situation is? Is there a memorandum of understanding, and what does it say?
Well, it's interesting. Once we cast our votes, we have what they call a dictatorship for 5 years in our democracy, because there are some fundamental issues that people have no choice, no say in. So you put the government in power and they do what they feel like doing. And the thing that irked me, firstly, from an emotional standpoint, is down the road, over in Haiti, which is pretty close to us, we turn back our African Haitians on a daily basis from coming on our shores. And in the face of that turn back, we are having persons come here. So it is a government policy to turn back the Haitians. It's now a government policy to take persons, 10,000 will come on our shores, and we must be satisfied with that. It tells you that we really are not an independent country. We can't barely manage the population we have here now from an economic point of view. But there's a big stick up north that is saying, listen, you got to take these people. I am sure that if you put it to the vote, most Jamaicans would say we can't, survive on our own means right now. And this, to me, is a slap in the face. It shows the Haitian people that we prefer others than them. And we've had a great relationship with Haiti. You know Bookman and the role he played.
Of course.
So I'm very offended by this. I think that it is should not have happened. It is wrong timing. It is just showing us that there's a big stick somewhere that we can't say no to. So I don't think that this was consensual. I think this is it is a rape of our independence.
You don't think it's consensual? With what we're hearing from Dana Dixon, who is the spokesperson, the communications, the spokesperson for government, if you will, and what we're hearing from the Minister of National Security, it seems as if, and we see that they've thrown also Audrey Marks under the bus in terms of saying initially that she might have asked for this. You're saying that you think this is forced, this is something that Jamaica is being forced to do.
Definitely. There are some countries who are underpopulated and need more people to come in. I mean, Canada is inviting people to come, but we don't have that same situation here. We can barely feed our people. We can barely find jobs for our people. So this is something that is cast on us. We don't need to be, a genius to know that we couldn't have accepted 10,000 persons to go where, to work where, to replace what jobs. What is the arrangement? Nothing. No town hall meetings were kept to consult the Jamaican people to impose 10,000 persons on us. And tell me, do we have their criminal background? I mean, I'm not being anti-immigrant. I'm just saying, me want my black people from Haiti, forget the preference, more than anybody else. If I sound racist, too bad. I'm racial.
No, you sound as if you're very concerned about what's happening to us as a people. Bert, let me ask you, as an attorney, what questions do you have? Because I hear you throwing out some of them. What questions do you have? What questions are lingering for you?
Yes. So we have an immigration policy. The immigration policy is that persons must come here who we can find jobs for. They must get work permits, and they must fill jobs that we can't do. We don't have an immigration policy for persons to come here and replace Jamaican people from their jobs. And that is a fundamental immigration policy throughout the world. Are they going to come here? Are they going to live here? What skills do they bring? What is happening? Are they going to be assigned to public housing? What is the arrangement? Are they going to be in villages? We know little or nothing. This is like you're in your house and some strangers turn up at your gate and your father says, come in, without knowing who they are. There's no consent from the dwellers of the house. The Jamaican people have not consented to this.
Hold a sec for me, Bert. One quick vote. A vexing issue where Jamaica seems to have entered into an agreement with the United States. Bert Samuels, as an attorney, says he doesn't think it's consensual. He thinks Jamaica is being forced to do this, to accept some 10,000 non-Jamaican nationals as part of the U.S. third country deportation or third country removal project. And so that you have, Bert, you're saying questions. First of all, one of the questions is, who are these people?
Yes. Who are they? I mean, when they arrive here, you and I can't go to most countries unless we present a police record, right? That's the first thing. If you want to migrate to the United States, you have to have a police record, and they scan you. But they are sending people here. Have they sent their records with them? The United States, have they sent their records with them? Why is it that we have to show that we have no criminal records if we want to go to the United States? So all these checks and balances to protect our people. I'm not saying they're criminals. All I'm saying, what are the rules of engagement? Who consented to it? Do we have the background of everyone that is coming here? Do we have pedophiles coming here? Do we have scammers coming here? Do we have racists coming here? Because, internationally, not other races don't necessarily love the black race. And that's our experience from slavery. Yes. So, I don't know who these people are. And as I've said, what is the preference? We run away the Haitians, our sisters and brothers in Haiti, and we invite people here, unknown people. That's a contradiction. And when Haitians come here, there are people who are pointing them out to the immigration forces to return them.
Yes. The Haitians and the Cubans. And
the Cubans. Don't forget the Cubans, yes.
But it's an interesting situation because on the backside of that, we see the Minister of Security, coming. Well, he's doing the media rounds. We see also Dana Dixon, who is a communications person. And they're at pains to point out that, one of them is that it's 25 at a time. Does that make a difference to you that they're saying 25 at a time? And the other thing they're saying is, this is not what we think it is. This is a transit, that they're on their way to somewhere else and they'll be transiting through Jamaica. Does that make sense to you?
It does not. There's not enough detail. When they come, will they be able to, are they going to be confined? Are they going to be prisoners? Can they run off to somewhere else? I mean, these are things that are being asked now. This should have been put to town hall meetings. But we don't practice a democracy here. Because I would have attended those town hall meetings and I say, for every one of those people, I want 10 Asians to come here. 10 to 1. If you give me 10 to 1, fine. But we can't lock out the Haitian black people and then bring in others here. It's repulsive.
What is interesting about this also, Bert, is that the United States itself has, I'm not quite sure if you saw this, but in the ongoing discussions on ICE and NICE and immigration in the U.S., have discussed housing some of these some immigrants who from third countries in Haiti itself. That is a discussion that they've had. so it's interesting that
the
we are foregrounding.
And isn't it true that this immigration policy is being tested in the courts, and the court is to rule on it? But remember that, what if the courts rule in the United States that it is wrong? The third country policy is
But I think there's been a ruling.
What would we do?
But there's been a ruling, Bert. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
There's a ruling, thinking about a where the Supreme Court ruled. I think you have that. Shaquille is in now for Peter's left.
Is it federal or is it states court?
I think it's the Supreme Court. But I can find that where the ruling has come in. Can immigrants be deported to a third country? What families need to know. All right, so we'll get the ruling. We're having is that sound coming from your background, Bert, or is it me?
It may have. I've walked away.
Oh, okay. Yes. Right. All right. What I want to do, Shaquille, can you carry the video clip with Minister Chang addressing reports regarding deportees and reiterating the importance of relying on verified information? Can we take that video? Let me know. And also, just go ahead when you have it. And then later on, we'll hear from Dana Morrison. Dana Dixon. Because what's interesting about this to me, Bert, is that you talk about consultation. There was no consultation.
No, none. None whatsoever. This is something. How can you impose a large number of people on us without us having a say? Is this democracy? Yeah, this is not something like Hurricane Melissa that is going to hit us in 2-3 days, and we had to take immediate action. This is something that the people should be consulted on. Hold
a sec, Bert. Let me just carry this clip from the minister. We're not hearing it. We're not hearing it, Shaquille.
It was a post-cabinet announcement?
Yes, Minister Chang. All right, so we're seeing him, but we're not getting any sound on this, Shaquille. All right, we took this on the Prime Minister's page. You can see the Prime Minister thing there. We took it because we went straight to the source. We never want to take it from nowhere else apart from Bush. We know it should be exactly what is what. So we took this clip from the Prime Minister's social media page. All right, so we're not hearing him, but all right. But there are a lot of questions. Have you, Bert, spoken to anyone who you've said, okay, coming away from that, all right. So I understand this a little bit more.
No, I mean, when persons, it's a drop jaw situation. People can't believe that this was
there is no
signed off
discussion, review, and
hang on, Bert.
illegal immigrants in the United States. Again, the only legal immigrants we take from the United States are the Jamaicans who are there, and those conditions are negotiated by professionals from the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Jamaica is not receiving any deportees from the United States, except Jamaicans. May I repeat that? We have no agreement, no understanding to accept deportees from the United States. We accept every month 100 Jamaican deportees. And we have the expertise and the staff to manage their entry into Jamaica. That arrangement was negotiated by professionals so that they can come in a structured, organized manner and be resettled in Jamaica, their homeland. The cost of that is all Jamaican. We are receiving, and we have no agreement to or understanding MOUs to receive convicts from the United States. And this, of course, the Jamaicans are deported, which we have agreements, because America is our primary ally and primary partner in trade and in security. And we do have deportees from Jamaica to the United States from time to time, we have occasionally from the United States convicts. But we have no agreement, no understanding, and there are no discussions to accept convicts from the United States. In fact, anyone coming from the United States is reviewed by the NIB before I indicate that they can land in the country. There is no discussion, review, or understand to accept 10,000 illegal immigrants from the United States. Again, the only illegal immigrants we take from the United States are the Jamaicans who are there. And those conditions are negotiated by professionals from the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Jamaica is not receiving any deportees from the United States, except Jamaicans.
I repeat
that. We have no agreement, no understanding.
All right. So Bert,
who is a deportee? Can we get the definition of a person who is being sent away from a country is being deported?
Right.
So Bert, are these people immigrants? America is
undergoing the forced removal process, typically for violating immigration laws, committing a serious crime, or posing a public safety threat. An individual who has been officially ordered to leave a country. And,
in other words, you don't have to be a criminal to be a deportee.
Right.
Right? So I don't want us to confuse this thing.
Exactly.
So what I'd like to know is are they in transit in Norman Manley and moving on immediately? They're in transit, or they're going to land here? Oh my gosh!
This is a question, and this is why,
me.
So there is obfuscation, Bert. There's
and an invention of the word deport.
Yes.
We all know that the Americans say that they don't have the green cards and they are not citizens, and that's why they are being sent away. We know that. They are deportees.
But what can we learn from other countries? Because the first in the region to do this was the Dominican Republic. Jamaica is very, very close friends under this current administration with the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic is the most anti-Haiti country in the entire world. The Dominican Republic shares a border with Haiti, but they will not accept Haitians. Not only that, if you are 15th generation, if you are first generation Haitian or 15th generation Haitian, the Dominican Republic have rendered you stateless. But they have entered into this very same agreement with the United States to take in deportees. What can we learn from countries like Dominican Republic, Sierra Leone, Rwanda, and so many other, Uganda, Sudan, so many other African countries and Caribbean countries that have or are currently have entered into this very same agreement with the United States government? There obviously should be a lot to learn there.
Yeah, I'm bold to say that this is a big stick policy, and I'm calling a spade a spade. It is when America sneezes, we catch the cold. Mm-hmm. And if they make requests of you, because we are not at arm's length, America, yes, is our best trading partner, but we can't. When we sit at the table with them, we do not have equal rights to speak up. We can't say no. Consent is forced upon us,
right?
Because if it's a tit for tat. If you don't do that, we're not going to give you that. I know that. The Jamaican people should know that when these people sit and negotiate with us, if we stand our ground, they will cut off aid. They will also, we know what tariffs has been doing to us, and they will also make travel advisories that are adverse to us. If you mess with the U.S. too much, they just issue a travel advisory, and tourism goes south.
That's right.
We know that. That's a reality. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm independent. I'm not from any political party. I know that if you don't toe the line, travel advisors hit you right away.
But there's also something else that happens, and Minister Chang himself can probably speak to that. You lose your visa. And I've heard out of the spaces, government spaces also, and spaces of authority here in Jamaica, that one of the reasons for this too is that it's a threat of Jamaicans being banned or blocked from entering the United States. The immigration policies, the xenophobic policies of the U.S.
You and I know that there are members in the House of Parliament.
But the U.S. immigration policy and the U.S. counterterrorism policy 2026 that was just released a few weeks ago speaks clearly. And this morning I played the parts of Carrie Lake, who's coming in as a U.S. ambassador to Jamaica, testifying on Capitol Hill, talking about the partnership, and it seems to me to be. It is not a fluke. It is well calculated, and that's why I went back to the question of what can we learn from what, say, is happening in the Dominican Republic, what's happening in Rwanda, in order for us to understand what it is that America has in mind. Because in the Dominican Republic, they use the very same language. They say transit, but transit in the Dominican Republic actually means, and you're asking the question, are they leaving the airport? It means that they're housed in the Dominican Republic and not in a prison situation.
But tell me something, Kabu. Why don't they interview those people like how they interview Jamaicans? Because a lot of persons who are being deported want to say they are Jamaicans. And I know as an attorney that we've had to prove that you're a Jamaican citizen to be deported here. Why can't they do the filtering and the identification of those persons' countries from which they should be sent and send them straight to those countries? Why are we being this? Why are we being asked to be the intermediary? America must solve its own problems, solve its own immigration mess. We shouldn't be having them here. They should sort them out up there and send them directly to where they think they should go. Why? We are not naive and stupid. There's a reason why there's this third country policy. It's a reason.
My girlfriend, who is a lawyer, who is in the UK, she is texting to say, what will their status be? Visitors with 1 month stay or landed indefinitely, or what? And I think that's also the question you're posing. And she goes on to say, Marco Rubio referred to these humans as despicable, and we heard the very same thing from Trump. So this is basically what the package is in terms of what they intend. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has made multiple statements regarding the Trump administration's strategy to deport undocumented immigrants to third-party countries. His comments focus on securing bilateral agreements to host these individuals, emphasizing national security and creating deterrent for unauthorized border crossing. So this is part of that wider picture that we see unfolding in Uganda, Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Dominican Republic, Trinidad and Tobago, and now Jamaica. But let me ask you this, Bert.
Yes.
This is my my theory, right?
Yes.
You've said that you think this is forced, and it could be through visa issues and so on. But to what extent do you think that Jamaica might have been threatened by the turning off of the light, Jamaica going into darkness to show that this is what we can do? The Nimitz on our shores, and now in Jamaica, in Ocho-Rios, the USS Fort Lauderdale, the warship that is docked down there in Ocho-Rios right now. The militarization of Jamaica, and the fact that Jamaica seems almost impossible to say no. Incapable of saying no to the US.
We are prepared to say it may not be coincidental that one of the biggest warships came to our shores, and we also know that we are so vulnerable that the JPS, part of its shareholders is in what country? Kabu, remind me. The ownership of JPS is.
Let me look that up.
In a certain country that owns part of our public electricity.
Yeah.
Is it that persons are just sending us a signal that, listen, you guys down there think you're independent? Remember that you must dance to our music.
Right.
Or else.
Right.
Or else. And I say these advisories are used as weapons against us. Those of us in the reparations movements know that if we go aggressively against the first world country in England, they will threaten us that they will stop the aid and they will stop trade preferences. They will stop giving scholarships, so that the stranglehold is so clear and obvious.
Yes.
I guess if I were in politics, I would not be able to speak as freely as I do. But I know that I'm not trying to speak to make, America love me or what. I know that you have to toe the line or else. It's a toe the line or else. We know that policy.
There's a question here from a listener who said that the Minister Chang did, the clip that we played from Minister Chang, I think there's a misunderstanding because he's not saying that they're not coming. He's saying that they're not deportees and they're not criminals. That's basically what he's saying, right? They're coming, but they're not deportees and they're not criminals.
But the question, I'll repeat the question. Why isn't the sorting of those people done in the U.S.? Why is this sorting being done here?
No, hang on. Sorry, Bert. No, there's a misunderstanding. There's a listener who was, and more than one actually, who's misunderstood the clip that we carried from Minister Chang. Where they think that Minister Chang is saying in that clip that no deportees are coming. No foreign nationals are coming. This is not what he's saying. He's saying that foreign nationals are coming, but he's not calling them deportees.
That's it. That's how I understood it to
yes,
be.
that's basically
he
what
said the only deportees are persons who are Jamaican who are being removed from the U.S.
Right.
So if you are being removed from the U.S. because of your immigration breaches and you come here, for some reason, that's not called deportee.
Yes.
That is semantics, eh? You and I know that. That's semantics in my view.
So from a legal perspective, the fact that they are being allowed free movement, put on your lawyer hat.
No, I'm putting on the lawyer hat now to say this. As a matter of policy, have we satisfied ourselves that there's no criminal records? Who can prove that they have no criminal records to have come here?
Yes.
When we want to go to the U.S., we have to submit our police records ahead of landing in the U.S. so they can verify our criminal status.
Yes.
Is that being done?
Yes.
We send them home, and the human rights people here have...
National has been writing extensively about this. This matter went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and the last ruling on this was that the Trump administration was given the green light to go ahead with this third country deportation or third country removal. But Amnesty International on the backside of that have come out to say that there are serious questions of human rights and human rights concern, and the human rights of those who are being deported, or they want to call them nationals or deportees, but they are being forcibly removed from the United States. What are those questions that arise regarding their human rights?
Yes, and we can we question that? Are we in a position to question what the United States and how they have treated these people? No. At the state level, we can't.
Why not?
We are muzzled because we don't want them to be upset with us. If we question them, they're going to say we are interfering in their affairs, right? We know that. They'll say they are a sovereign country. And I hear this harping that America is our great trading partner. You know, we share security issues with them. I'm hearing that they're our greatest friends ever, right? That's what I'm hearing.
Carrie Lake just said that Jamaica is in our front yard.
Jamaica is in our front yard.
Yes.
Am I understanding that? Okay.
Yes. Jamaica is in our front yard. And it's interesting. I think, all right, so from a legal perspective, speak directly, Bert, to the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security about your major concerns and what you would like to see done.
The first thing is I'd like to know whether the respective persons coming, I was about to say deportee coming, if their criminal records have been verified. 1. 2, how much of Jamaican taxpayers' monies are being used in this deal? 3, if our monies are not being used, how much monies have we been paid to accommodate and deal with this matter? How much money has been paid? And how will it be distributed? Because it's not part of our budget. And therefore, we want to know if monies came to do this deal, who has the money? How will it be spent? Thirdly, how long will they be here? Fourthly, what is their status when they are here? Can they walk around, go to Negril, go on the beach, walk around? Fifthly, are they going to be detained here? Are they going to be imprisoned here? Is their right to freedom of movement being solved? When they are coming here, what passports will they come with? Are they coming with their respective countries' national passports so we can be sure who they are? So that's just some of the questions I'd like to ask. And I want to know, too, is this a contradiction between of our immigration policy towards Haiti as opposed to towards the United States sending people here when we are running the Haitians from our shores?
I've been looking at what's coming out of the U.S. in terms of this whole policy, this project, third country deportations, third country removals. And for this region, it is couched within the context of the Shield of the Americas. The Shield of the Americas is a group of Caribbean and Latin American countries and the U.S. that entered into an agreement just a few months ago on the backside of Davos. I don't know if you remember, if you recall, Trump coming in. Trinidad is a part of it. The Dominican Republic is a part of it. Jamaica is not a part of it because countries that are being punished are not a part of it. It's really replacing the Organization of American States, from which the Jamaica's former just resigned Jamaican ambassador to the U.S. just resigned as representative to the Organization of American States. I think everything is connected in this way, because if you look at the Shield of the Americas and the extent to which they have determined that this is a security matter, that this is now, and the warships that are also in port, that this is not a simple matter. We can't just look at it from an immigration perspective, but we have to, this is war, isn't it? This is part of the Cold War.
Remember, the president did refer to third world countries and African countries as S-hole countries. Yeah. So we are seen as less than. We are seen as less than. Remember, our history is being pulled from the public libraries in America. So when I can't stand on a platform and tell the Jamaican people that Jamaica is America is our great partner, when the African American brothers and sisters in their history books are being pulled from public libraries, and it is wrong to teach their history, which is connected to our history, in their school system. Can that person be our friends? Or we've lost the principles, or it's just a money game we are into, or we are into national pride and racial pride. A country that calls and pulls the history of my people's history out of their public libraries on no count can be my friend.
What's the end game, Bert? Where are we going? Because we see Jamaica in a situation where sovereignty is not something we can talk about at all.
Well, we might have to do a petition. We may have to have a public petition to say we want more information on this. We may have to do a petition.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation about it. I'm not quite sure the extent of movement on it. People are getting over the shock of just hearing this. But obviously this is something that has been ongoing for a few years. Well, now it started with Sudan. And
what day and month and week was the memorandum signed? Was that said? Oh, gosh, this is governance by secret? Is this governance by secret?
The JPS, the Jamaica Information Service carried a story on this that I'm trying to find. I think you have it, Shaquille. I think you have a story from the JIS. Maybe if you can put that up on the screen. But I think maybe in that story there is more information from the JIS. Hopefully we can find that. I'm trying to access it, but I don't know. I mean, it's wrong of me not to know. But let me see if I can find this story from JIS. All right, but here it is. Did you find it? Jamaica signs MOU with US to transition third country. All right, so yes, it's on the screen for those who are watching online. Do you know? Can you say that?
It didn't say Jamaica to sign. It says already signed, right?
It says already signed.
So what can we do now? Our hands are tied, right? So this discussion could be seen as academic.
It is academic to a large extent. It says here, Jamaica has signed a memorandum of understanding with the United States that will provide third country nationals. They're saying nationals, but it's deportee. Them just think them can change a word and we're good. Transferred from the U.S. to transit through Jamaica to their final destination. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, said that the agreement has received cabinet approval and was signed last Wednesday, June 10.
Okay. I have a new word though for them. You want the new word for them?
Mm-hmm.
They are transferees.
Enough funny. Transferees.
Yes, they're transferees. Yes. Okay. And so when you're transferred, when you're in transit, because it seems to be as an in transit status. So what is the security arrangement so they don't escape from the in transit, as it were, area that we're being kept?
There's Bert, there's a lot here. The GIS story makes some sense. It says the decision to enter the agreement was reached following extensive negotiations between the ministries of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Who's a minister there? Kamina Johnson. The minister. So extensive negotiations between the ministries of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. That's Kamina Johnson, right? And National Security and Peace. That's Horace Chang. The Office of the Prime Minister. That's the Prime Minister himself. And lawyers from the Attorney General's office.
So tell me now, these transferees, if they want to see an attorney, I wonder if they're allowed to contact us lawyers here.
Hang on there, don't move.
Issues.
No, there's a very good point, so hang on there for me, Bert. Issue, Jamaica has signed a memorandum of understanding with the United States to provide third country nationals transferred from the U.S. to transit through Jamaica to their final destination. It's a tongue twister, Bert. Bert Samuels, attorney at law, Pan-African attorney at law, is online. It's a tongue twister, Bert, because they're twisting themselves up into a pretzel to get themselves out of what they have signed on to. And the question you asked, you posed when we were going into the break was, from a human rights perspective, the deportees who are coming in, will they have access to, if they want, attorneys? And tell me what you think. Answer that question, Bert, because I cannot answer it. Are you there, Bert? Not hearing you. You might be mute.
You can face immigration. Am I being heard?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Yeah, you can face immigration courts in the U.S. even if you are a person being deported. So what are their rights? I mean, what access they have to an attorney here, what access they have to their families flying into Jamaica to come and see them and landing here to see them. We have to think about these things too. And nothing has been made clear. I mean, the Attorney General gave the advice. I'd like to see if there was a written advice to the government of Jamaica. We'd like for them to disclose that advice as to the status, the legitimacy, the immigration impact of this on our immigration laws. I think we should ask for discovery of these things.
Roger Hasfall, my colleague here at IRFM, and I think you touched on this. He sent a question that he wanted me to ask you, which was, he says Jamaica remains on a blacklist or a white list for people seeking immigration status in the United States. Isn't it a paradox and irony that Jamaica is now supposedly a strategic partner in accepting third country deportees?
In other words, they have locked the door for us to go north and have opened a big, wide door for their rejects to come here. And I wonder what's the payoff? We're going to get more liberal visa policies now that we could go. What is the promise? There is something we are not being told. Akabo, you know there's something. There's a hidden agenda that we don't know, that cannot be disclosed because it is too, what do I say, scandalous. It's a tit for tat.
Yeah, well, you know, Bert, I think everything is connected, and I think that this is something that Jamaica is a stick-up. Jamaica was asked to do this. Remember, you know, this was first. We've been following this on this program, right? That first of all, it was Sudan in 2024, I think it was. South Sudan that is at war, and that's when it went to the courts. And then we saw Uganda, and we saw what happened in Sierra Leone, of all the places. When I was in Sierra Leone last year, November, this question came up. There was a discussion about this. I remember sitting in I think it was a hotel and showing my phone to Rosalie Hamilton to say, Roz, look at this. They have banned Sierra Leone, not just Sierra Leone, not just the people, but particular government ministers, including Prime Minister, the Prime Minister's wife, and so on. They have taken their visa, and I said, and because the discussion that was happening around the time in Sierra Leone was, you take third country deportees, or we take your visas. And
that's right.
I can tell you today
it's come out.
that Sierra Leone has taken the third country deportees, also in Uganda, but we must understand Jamaica's perspective, Bert, because in the Dominican Republic, I think Dominican Republic is our template. Remember, Jamaica has entered into an unholy relationship with the Dominican Republic, and that is going to take us into questions of transnational organized crime.
So listen, the Dominican Republic and Jamaica have an anti-Haitian immigration policy. Is that true?
Yes,
or
also it is very
true. So we hold hands on that.
We hold hands on a whole lot of things because Dominican Republic is the number one transnational.
So tell me now, these first world countries, Canada to America's north, did they invite them to take them? They're short of people. They have money. Why are they dumping them on the S-hole countries?
You mean Canada?
Yeah, why don't they give them to Canada? So they, to filter them through Canada. Just let them take up a train and go up and drive up into Canada and do the sorting out up there. Why they want us to sort out their problems?
Bert, I spoke to you many years ago. We talk a lot, but on this particular topic, we spoke many years ago about when Cameron came to Jamaica and told us to get over slavery and offered us a prison.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that so-called gift.
Right.
Yes, and he wanted the prisons to be a dumping ground for Jamaicans incarcerated in the UK. Yes. You'd ship them down here. Right. So they want to send their problems down to us. The problems created by them.
Yes.
To come down to us.
At the time, you recommended, as you are doing now, that we stand up as a nation.
Yes, and Cameron didn't want us to look into the past, but he was laying a reed to the Holocaust in London 3 years before he made that rude and disrespectful statement that we should not look into the past. America says African Americans should not look into the past. They should not have history books telling them that they were enslaved. Yes. So it is the same anti-us policy.
Yeah. There's a question here, Donnie is asking, what are health and safety implications for Jamaica? Because obviously these are questions that we must ask.
It is, and what are their health status? Listen to me. This is more than troubling,
Yes.
What are we going to do, Kabu? What can we do? I feel my hands are tied behind me.
Yes.
Because if we have a government that makes decisions and then comes and announces them, not every decision we need to be participants in, but this one is huge. Yeah. Immigration is a huge Jamaican concern.
Yeah.
We can't just fly in there. They've sent us back on the next flight.
That's true. Aldit Hunker in the Netherlands, she says, when Great Britain and the Netherlands tried the same scheme with Rwanda, it was pronounced illegal by the courts. And she says Rwanda had already invested in housing for all these deportees. Interestingly enough, in Rwanda, that housing is now being used by the United States on this within this very same project. So I want to ask Bert, is this something then that we can, as they did in Great Britain, which was to shoot this through the courts, advocates took this to court, and can we do this? Is something that we can do?
I'm sure we can do a challenge in our local courts to see if this policy is breaching our laws. It means more research on our part. I mean, I think Jamaicans for Justice and human rights groups, I'm prepared to lend my assistance to do the research. Remember, what they said, if we are in America, we are seeking to become citizens. They want us to return to Jamaica and apply from down here. So they are kicking out persons who are in the process of applying for stay in the United States. They say the Jamaicans must come home and apply from down here.
Yes.
So they give us, it's a big stick unilateral decisions they make which are never in our interest.
Yeah. Let's listen for a minute to what Dana Dixon, I have to take a break. Can you hold, Bert? I'm keeping you longer than you're supposed to be on.
It's Father's Day,
Bert, my friend, happy Father's Day. I didn't say that to you when you came on. Happy Father's Day. Thank you for taking the time. I hear the children in the background, and these children are big children.
They're looking at me, but the struggle must be attended to.
Bert, go ahead, Bert. Go ahead. It's quite all right. Thank you so much, my brother. We'll talk again another time. Have a good Father's Day. Luta continua, Vittoria is certa. Thank you so much, Bert Samuels. Happy Father's Day again, Bert. To my brother, my friend, Bert Samuels there. Let me take a quick break and come back. The issue that we are focusing on here in Jamaica, I know there are lots of conversation. My own personal perspective, but before I go to that, let us listen, Shaquille, to Minister of Information, Dana Dixon, addressing this issue also. Let's go to that.
That it is 25 at a time. If at any point more than 10 are applying for asylum, and in Jamaica we respect international law and we have a process for those who may want to seek asylum, but we have written in our agreement that if we ever get to 10, that the program ends. Nobody else can be sent to Jamaica. And it also has, in terms of who covers the costs, it also has that the International Organization for Migration will be the one that will be monitoring and making sure everything is okay and that we are are abiding by international law for the time that these individuals are transiting through Jamaica. Questions such as housing, again, we need to finalize those details. And so there are a few more operational things to finalize. We will release the MOU, but I say to Jamaica, there are still some areas that we're ironing out. And as soon as those are known, we will come back and tell you.
That's a special...
All right, so I don't understand how that you're going to be releasing the MOU, but there's still you've signed the MOU, but there are still some areas that you're ironing out. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but critical thinkers are few and in between, and there are many too, and I think there are many ways to deal with this. There's too much that, as she said, there are too many unknowns, but you all sat down and negotiated this and signed on June 10, and here we are. And as Bert Samuels has been underscoring, what of Haiti? You can make a decision like this for third country deportees, but Haitians, you drive away as if they aren't even human beings. You've sent home the Cuban doctors and nurses, but here we are, still here we are. We understand this from a geopolitical perspective. Let us not fool ourselves. And we're putting this within the context of what has been happening in Sudan, one of the first countries that the United States identified for this third country removal, third country deportation, was Sudan. Human rights advocates immediately got on this. There is a genocide underway in Sudan, and yet that plan was in position. So it was stopped, it's stalled for a while, and then recently there's been a ruling from the Supreme Court that the Trump administration can go ahead with the third party removals. So here we are. The Sierra Leone was pressured into accepting third country deportees. How did they pressure Sierra Leone? In many ways, but in particular, by closing the border 100% between Sierra Leone and the United States. Just think of that. In Jamaica, they blocked, I think in Jamaica, there was a situation of green card, and there some other conversation about some people who can't travel, and it's harder to get a visa, and you have to pay, almost like like hundreds of US dollars, and there were many, and it's harder for you to get a visa, and so on and so forth. But for Sierra Leone, they cut off the entire country. And the discussion, I was in Sierra Leone when it started to happen. And the discussion in Sierra Leone at the time, November last year, was this very same thing. Third country deportees, and Sierra Leone being forced to accept. Well, here we are. The Jamaican government has to be honest with the people of Jamaica. I've said this many times in this space, especially within the geopolitical context. Tell the people the truth. Tell the people the truth. Tell the people the truth. The extent to which you have no control over all that is unfolding. The extent to which you cannot say no. The extent to which you are little boys in short pants. The extent to which you cannot stop the militarization of the Caribbean waters, Jamaica waters, much less the Caribbean waters. The extent to which America is using big stick diplomacy within the Caribbean. The extent to which the Monroe Doctrine is being unleashed. Monroe 2.0, as a matter of fact, it's called Monroe Doctrine 2.0. Tell the people the truth. Tell the people the truth about the extent to which Jamaica, your necks are, the government's necks are in a vice grip the extent to which you do not have the authority that you're saying that you have, and the extent to which you have sold out. Because it is a selling out of Jamaica. Jamaica for sale, as Buju Banton says. It is a selling out of Jamaica over a period of time that has led us to where we are now. Jamaica has formed relationships with countries that we should never have formed. Jamaica is on the wrong side of history. Jamaica and the leadership of Jamaica and the Prime Minister of Jamaica has gone to the wall in Israel, put on a little cap on them head and have them forehead and knock up on the wall in Israel. Israel is overseeing a genocide in Gaza and in Lebanon. There's also Jamaica's entered into agreements with Israel, security agreements and technology agreements, to the extent that right now on the island of Jamaica, we don't know who control what. Jamaica is in the wrong company. But you've gone in so far. You are in blood, steeped in so far that returning was as dangerous as going on. This is where Jamaica is. Jamaica has made, under the current government, and this is, look here, we have to speak truth to power, and we have to tell the people the truth. The whitening of Jamaica under the JLP government is a reality. The whitening of Jamaica. When we say whitening, we mean white people. And it is happening at the board level, and it is happening at institution level, and it is happening everywhere. Who is responsible for a curriculum? I don't want to go off. But let me just say this. Jamaica is presiding over a near or ongoing colonization of Jamaica. The current administration, that is a JLP, has no ideology, believes in nothing, and is capitalist dictatorship. Jamaica has already welcomed techno-colonialism without consultation, so we are where we are. Jamaica has entered into agreements with all kinds of people. They're going to just come up on us like this one, and we're going to hear, but we're in agreement with this. So we have, whether the Prime Minister has said that he has to import labor into Jamaica because Jamaica cannot take care of its own labor force. Jamaica cannot manage the work that Jamaica has to do. We do not have the people to do it. We do not have the people, or we did not train the people, or we did not provide the spaces for education for the people, or we did not allow the people to stay because we drive them out of the country and they return them. Then we call them returning residents or diaspora, and we have a big conference in Montego Bay. Jamaica is on the wrong side of history. We have moved so far away from being liberators, from being moral standard bearers. And this is why we are where we are. Jamaica is in bed with, for example, the Dominican Republic. Jamaica's best friend in the Caribbean is Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic has the harshest policies against Haitians. As a matter of fact, we see a genocide being perpetrated against Haiti. The Dominican Republic is right there and is participating in that. But Jamaica's best friend is the Dominican Republic. If you want to know whether or not Jamaica did go to America requesting the third-party deportees, look at what's happening in the Dominican Republic. I put it to you that Jamaica did ask for the third country deportees. I put it to you that Jamaica went to the United States and requested third country deportees. Why did Jamaica do that? Because Jamaica looked at what Dominican Republic was doing, and because Jamaica does everything the Dominican Republic does, And because Jamaica wants to be part of the shield of the Americas, Jamaica requested the third country deportees. This to me is very clear. You see, Dominican, the United States has increasingly used third country deportees in cases where the migrants cannot be returned to their home countries. And so they send them to another place. The Dominican Republic is identified as a new partner in this system as part of the shield of the Americas. And so the Dominican Republic agreed to receive hundreds of deportees from the United States. The agreement is non-binding, but they have made that agreement. There's a lot that's going to unfold over the next few months. On this Father's Day, I'm saying that to you, one of the reasons why we didn't do any greetings today is because we understood the importance of putting certain things out, the importance of having a conversation and to say to the people of Jamaica that we are about to face the storm. There are many people who are going to benefit from the storm because capitalism works this way. That there are many who are already rotten rich, getting richer, and are going to get richer, and the poor will get poorer. The poverty of the poor. We are entering a storm that the government of Jamaica has carried us into, and then they tell us it's geopolitics and they cannot do anything. But Jamaica made the decisions with them two eyes opened, eyes wide open. Jamaica made these decisions that is seeing us where we are now. There's a warship in the Otrius port. The USS Fort Lauderdale, look it up. It's not an ordinary warship. It's a warship that carries warmongers. It's a warship. It's a ship for war. It's not a joke. This is predictive programming. When the Nimitz came in, they were preparing us for that. There's another thing they are preparing us for, Have you seen recently what's happening on the roads? In terms of the amount of military vehicles that are just driving up and down, apparently for no particular reason. The amount of JCF members and how they are dressed and how them look. It's predictive programming. They are preparing us for what they're about to unleash. The militarization of Jamaica is well underway. The whitening of Jamaica is well underway. I'll tell you something about the militarization coupled with the whitening of Jamaica. The militarization of Jamaica coupled with the whitening of Jamaica also is revealed through who's heading up the agencies. Everybody white or brown skin can pass the paperback test. And they're all former military operatives, whether they're general, brigadier, commissioner, they're all military men. Jamaica is being militarized in many ways. Government institutions, government agencies in particular, government boards, government units are all being headed up now by military men. Mr. Andrew Holness has shifted out the civilians from around him and has surrounded himself with military men. And when he goes out, for the most part, he's dressing many times in military clothing. I want to ask Andrew Holness and I want to ask the people of Jamaica, where we're going with that? What's the end result of that? What does that mean in the wider scheme of things? The opposition is not worth its weight in nothing. The opposition is dead in the water. And is not much different. Because if you look at the business dealings of individual opposition people and individual government people, they're in the same business. Majority of them are in real estate, housing development, and construction. They're either supporting They're either providing the vehicles, the heavy vehicles for digging down and construction vehicles. You know what I'm talking. Or they're supplying the material. Or they themselves are the developers and contractors. This is what is going on in the synagogue of Satan, which is the Parliament of Jamaica. We are going to have to speak truth to power without fear or favor, but to say that I stood up at a time when it was important to do so. That I spoke out at a time when it was important to do so. And we must feel the fear and do it anyway. And they'll come at you, they do come at you in many ways. They come at us in many ways. But how many of us are going to stand by, to sit by, and say nothing and do nothing? They're lying to us. They are lying to us. Jamaica is being militarized by the United States and by the government of Jamaica. The militarization of Jamaica is taking place on many fronts. Does anybody know where Mossad is based in Jamaica? Jamaica is being militarized. Jamaica is being militarized. What they are preparing for, we are not ready to face. What do they know that we do not know? Why do we have a warship in Ocho-Rios at the Ocho-Rios Pier today? Why did we have a warship, the Nimitz, in Kingston? Why is the Caribbean waters being militarized? Well, Carrie Lake, who is the US ambassador nominated to Jamaica, she told us all in the testimony when she testified on Capitol Hill last week, a few days ago. She told us exactly what the situation is and the importance of Jamaica in this military context. Let us listen again to what, not this morning, but you go ahead and find her speech and listen to it again, her testimony. She laid it out. I wonder if I can find back we have just 5 minutes, but I can quickly reiterate. She laid it out. She laid it out. It is something that it is frightening at once, but on the other hand, it gives us an opportunity to be prepared for what is about to come. And the important thing is to prepare. All right, so let me go back to what some of the things that Carrie Lake said quickly. Happy Father's Day, Mr. Begay. So, Carrie Lake, U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, in her state confirmation, her plans for Jamaica, crime and security cooperation, strengthening US-Jamaica partnership to reduce crime and improve security. China, worries about China's involvement in ports, logistics, and other critical infrastructure with potential security implications. Telecommunications and digital networks, concern over Chinese tech, example Huawei. And she said Huawei. She said that. It's an interesting thing. In telecom systems, concerns over Chinese technology, Chinese tech, example Huawei. In telecom systems, including data security, access risks, and technology dependence. That testimony, you're wondering if they were talking about a country or them talking about them dog. They were discussing Jamaica. It reminds me of when I used to cover Parliament in the UK as a journalist. When you sit down in those parliaments and you hear them talk about our countries, they don't talk about us like human beings. They talk about us like dogs, like we're not a body. And this is what I heard in Carrie Lake's testimony, right? Expanding political influence. She's concerned about China's growing diplomatic influence through financing, infrastructure, technology, education, and partnerships. They talk about the trade routes, how significant and important Jamaica is in terms of where Jamaica sits geographically. The Panama Canal there, and we just show you the map already. Go back, put Navassa Island, because Navassa Island belongs to Jamaica, but it is owned by the United States. And I want to ask you this. Have you yet? Do not do it. But because I don't want to get anybody in any trouble. But we don't know what's happening on Navassa Island. Navassa Island is right there between Cuba, Jamaica, and Haiti right there. Navassa Island is right there. But Navassa Island is owned by the United States. All right, that trade route that they're fighting for, Panama is involved in that. And once again, look at the map. Take out your map, know your geo. Because it's a geopolitical storm that we're heading into. And Jamaica is being militarized as a country that is at the center of it. It's not Cuba. And none of this has nothing to do with Cuba. None of this has anything to do with Cuba. This is all a war between China and Jamaica. And we're caught in the middle of it. And the Andrew Holness-led administration knows that. And so he's militarizing around him. And somebody need to be very, very, very honest about... Anyway, let me left that. So, Mr. Bigay, how are you doing, sir?
You never wear your fire clothes this morning?
No, and a good thing because I suppose we didn't wear it. I mean, it's a good thing. Thank you for listening. Happy Father's Day, Bigay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Shaquille, who took over. I had two big people with me today. You know? I mean, like, the big things are going for me, you know.
What?
So Peter was here like from 6 to 8, 8:30, and then Shaquille just come in 8:30 to 10. And, you know. These are the ways that we roll around here. So thanks, Peter. Thanks, Shaquille. Thanks, Antoinette. Thank you so much, Shanice. Shanique. Thank you to you for listening, to you for tuning in, to you for being part of the program. What we do from here today can define what happened to us forever. Let us ask the people who are in power what their plan is for Jamaica. As they militarize Jamaica, deny us access to everywhere, corral us in the middle, and then take over everywhere else. And the rich is getting richer, and the poor is getting poorer. Not only that, Jamaica is getting whiter. And there's a plan afoot to whiten Jamaica, and it is not just in government, it is everywhere. Yes, Mr. Bigay. Yes, sir. What should I do? Should I put my music up again and give you some time? So where were you last week? Like, were you on the island or overseas?
I was on the island.
Oh, because you were at Kilimanjaro thingy.
Yes, I was. It was.
Right.
It was good.
I thought so. It did sound good to me. I know that Kishima has been covering this whole... what do you call it? It's a conflict that's ongoing. Who owned Kilimanjaro? Or Kilimanjaro? Who owned Kilimanjaro?
Yeah, it is. I don't want to get into it.
You don't want to get into it? I don't understand it.
One of your mentors celebrated a birthday this week.
Who?
Ernie Randall.
Really? I should have known. Happy birthday. Look at the camera. Happy birthday, Uncle Ernie.
Yeah.
Goodness, how did that miss me?
Yeah.
It's certain. I don't know. And I was talking about him up to last week. Because then I had Dale and them in last week doing acoustic. Uncle Ernie Ranglin celebrated a birthday last few days ago. Happy birthday. Such, arguably, one of the best, not arguably one of, but he's one of the best guitarists in the world. Like in the top 5. In the top 5, right?
I would think so.
Yeah. Because every time I think about who's like better than him, not that I know a whole of a guitarist, but I think like nobody really better than him. You know, I see him class with Jimi Hendrix and them. Yeah. So it's our Uncle Ernie. We love him.
George Benson, who was a guitarist extraordinaire, had driven halfway across the U.S. to present him at one time with a guitar.
Yes. He did say here in this space. Yeah, and you know, they say Jamaica have no talent, but we got some talents, boy. Anyway, Mr. Bigay, this is how I say goodbye for today on this Father's Day. Have a good one. I didn't take any greetings today, so you are backed up. Really, I'm telling you, your situation is not pretty.
Too much fire.
Yeah, but look here, Bigay will pick it up from here. I thank you so much for giving me the chance to not take no greetings, and Bigay is here to take it from here. Thank you for listening again. Thank you so much.